Live from DNHQ2 in beautiful South Pasadena, California, this is the Austin Barnes Podcast. Is that what it is? Just for you, buddy. Just for you.
I appreciate that.
We are powered by the Overtime Podcast Network. What's going on? My name is Real FRG on the Twitter and the internet. Probably Clint in real life, but you know. When in Rome. When in Rome.
Not often in Rome. I am Brooke. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BrookeMe3. And on today's show, we have plenty to talk about.
It's an off day, so everybody, you know, settle in. There's nothing better to do but be here with us because we're going to find out what's a Tyler White. Bye-bye Barnes. We got trade deadline talk with our friend over at NBCLA. And Beatty Bunch highlights because we had the excitement of having Matt Beatty and his wife Jessica in yesterday. And stadium upgrade reactions we're going to get into. Because that was
surprising
fun.
Reactions.
But first, we have to give a shout out to our friends over at Sportscaster. Yes, at Sportscaster, you could look like a pro and sound like a pro. Go to sportscaster.com. That is CASTR, and you could sign up to be cool like us. You could live stream. You could get access to events. You can do gaming. Whatever you want to do, you do it. Check it out. But of course, after our live stream.
After the live stream.
Yeah, after the live stream.
Make sure you prioritize us, guys. And don't forget, this is a live stream, so make sure you guys let us know where you're representing Dodgers Nation from. Let us know the area code, city, place, state, country, wherever you're watching from. There's some Mr. Worldwides out there, I know.
Mr. Worldwide here.
Mr. and Mrs. Worldwide over here. So make sure you let us know where you're representing Dodgers Nation tonight, wherever you may be.
Yes.
On tonight's show,
we have a guest.
We have a guest.
We have two guests.
Yeah, we do have two guests, technically. We do like to have guests on the show occasionally. This is probably a first for us, though.
Yeah.
This is a first.
We got a dog.
On one hand, we have award-winning NBCLA reporter, but on the other hand, we have his dog, which is incredible.
Adorable.
Amazing and adorable, and a first time for the Blue Heaven podcast, I'm pretty sure. Right?
Yeah.
That's a first.
I mean, I'm sure dogs have walked by.
Welcome, Mr. Michael Duarte. And what's the dog's name?
Mellow Yellow. We can call her Mellow
for
the show today. Hopefully she'll be pretty mellow. She lives
She's
up to
pretty
her
mellow
name.
so far.
Yeah, so far.
You know, I think we have
Mellow.
one small friend of the show shirt left, so I'm pretty sure we have to get it to the doggo.
Oh, that'd be good.
She'll rock it, too. She rocks, like I said, she rocks the Seeger jersey Monday through Friday. So
that's impressive.
She's ready to go.
But it's Thursday. It's Sieg's Day. Now, they got the day off. I can understand her not wearing the jersey. They got the day off.
Travel day.
Travel day. So it's been a huge day, even though it's been an off day. Brooke, you wanna handle this? I feel like
Dodgers
you
made a trade, guys, right? I told you a trade was coming.
You knew it. You predicted this. You told us it was coming.
Literally just told Clint on Tuesday.
It wasn't exactly what I was expecting.
I don't think anybody was
exactly what anybody was expecting.
Our savior is here, but first of all, leading off.
Before we talk about this huge game-changing, season-changing, life-altering trade, we need to talk about Austin Barnes.
I don't know.
With us no more at the big league level.
It was, you know what, man? You really do feel for Austin because I don't think there's anybody that's tried harder than him to get it right over the last couple of years. But, man, it just did not want to work out. The bat and the ball did not want to meet, if you will.
It did not.
Meet somewhere in the middle.
It did not. He's hitting a $196, 616 OPSing. He's hitting 171 since mid-April.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of things have worked out for him. No. Not even just this year. I mean, over the past 2 years, not a lot's worked out for him. And, he's hitting 200. He's got 9 home runs over the course of the past 2 years almost.
Yeah, 170 games thereabout, and it's definitely not worked out so well.
And it makes it a lot tougher when you got some young guys that are coming up that a lot of people want to see. I mean, if Will Smith hadn't inserted himself into the lineup like he did so early on, I think it would be a different conversation amongst Dodger fans. But now that people have seen that and they think that Will Smith is the savior of this team, it makes it a little more difficult for Barnes to stay up in that situation.
For the fans, yeah, I can see that. They've become Fresh Prince of LA has become a huge fan favorite, obviously now. But we were wondering, right? So I was told about the Keibert Ruiz being promoted to AAA to showcase him here a few days ago, and I was wondering what the counter move would be because I don't see them platooning Will Smith and Keibert Ruiz in AAA the whole time. Rocky Gale, of course, got outrighted, but I think he agreed to it, so he still stayed with the team. So you just have a log jam there at catcher. And Will Smith is just crushing the ball down at AAA, and he's a lot more major league ready than Keibert is. So I'm thinking is Russell Martin's back going to flare up? Is Austin Barnes going to have a groin injury like he had earlier? I think maybe the front office would have been, perfectly happy if something did happen to one of those catchers that got injured, give him a chance to get a rest here and get Will Smith up. It was inevitable something was going to happen. Austin Barnes did have one option left. So I figured that could have been a possibility, and it turns out that's what ends up being the move. But you were joking about things haven't turned out right for Austin up until Yasmani Grandal had 4 pass balls in a game and 2 errors. That was the only thing that finally worked out for him in the NLCS in the past year.
But with Barnes in this situation, you're talking about them not so much hoping or wishing for an injury, but you kind of okay, something, keep it in your back pocket. You sort of expect an injury with a 36-year-old catcher, and Barnes had the groin strain for that bit of time that gave us Will Smith's season the first time through, round 1, if you will. Mm-hmm. You've known Barnes has had this option year for a while. Why would it take so long? And 2, it just really felt. Especially, I'd say, over this last month, since he came off the injured list, it really has felt like Austin is just really fighting himself and struggling with it, struggling with the demons of 140 average or whatever it's been since he's hit the IL. I think there was a lot of different points and questions and whatever, but why wait so long on the option?
That's a very good question, because it was his final option. I think when you do that, you got to make sure you're going to do it, because now once he's called back up, that's it. That's it. He's not. He can say no if you try to option him back down, and he has every right to do so. And if that's the case, then you DFA him. Hold on one second. Come up here, bud.
Well, Brooke, what else you got?
Well, I think the funny thing about that is
we got a wild doggo, guys. We got to make sure.
Just trying to stay on the chair.
We got to make sure
dog.
we take the picture of the dog for the podcast site.
Into the thumbnail. Yeah, that's got to be a big part of the.
All right,
thumbnail.
she's back up now. Almost slipped off.
She's going to be she's going to be in the center of the picture. It's going to be the 3 of us, and then
that's more important.
The thing with Austin Barnes, and I'd have to check his AAA stats, but he really hits well for average in AAA. In years past, when he was the guy that's like Will Smith, the guy that would come up if there was an injury, when the Dodgers still had A.J. Ellis on the team, and it was him and Yasmani Grandal, and Austin was kind of the third guy, the odd man out. He was hitting over 300 at AAA,
right?
And they'd call him up, and he'd play little second, little catcher, and then insert himself where he can. But I'm hoping, and maybe the front office is hoping, that he can maybe get his swing right, and maybe more than that, just be able to see pitches a little better. He's really struggled at recognizing pitches when they come out of the hand.
And we can't say that these situations haven't worked out in the past. I feel pretty confident in saying that this is not the last time we've seen Austin Barnes in Dodger blue. He will be back up at some point. It worked out for Puig in, 2017, 2016, or whenever it was. It ended up playing pretty well for Jock Peterson, maybe. This is just a nice little relaxing breather, and Austin can get himself right.
I mean, we got 6 days until the trade deadline, and then a little less than a month before September call-up. So at the latest, that's 5 weeks or so is how long Austin Barnes would stay down in AAA.
Right. Barnes free for 5 weeks for you, Brooke.
Right. And then who knows? We could be talking something different in about a week.
Yeah.
And he would be called up, or he could be in another uniform. We don't know.
So we had Tatiana say that Brooke just stoked that he doesn't have to buy McKenna her jersey this year. So I had a bet with a fan that if Austin Barnes had a comeback year, I'd buy her a legit Austin Barnes jersey. So doesn't look like she's getting that jersey.
Or you'd have to make a custom
You'd have
one.
to find it. Yeah, I think you'd have to find it.
I bet you've been to the stadium. Right next to the left of the press box, they have the game worn jerseys.
The ones you actually go into.
If you can find a Ross Cup jersey there, I'm pretty sure you can find a dirty Barnes.
There's a couple Austin Barnes bats there, so there's got to be a jersey.
Yeah, I'm sure you could find a jersey. They had Rich Hill's jersey, that famous picture where he was laying all out. I think it was either Players Only or Memorial Day or something. Yeah, they got that jersey up in there. I like that one.
That's a fine jersey.
They had a Brandon League jersey in there I saw earlier this year. Still there. Game worn, Brandon League. Yeah.
Just sent a shiver down my spine.
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody feels uncomfortable. Remember, Barnes is gone for now, guys.
Oh, guys, I forgot to mention, because
he brought
sidetracked. I decided to class up Dodgers Nation.
Ooh, look at that
today with a little French Burgundy wine for everybody.
I'm French
I know you
Burgundy?
guys like to rock the beer. I'm French Burgundy.
Look at that.
So
Is that a gift
I wanted
from
to.
you
Clint and I
Mellow?
were talking about this on Tuesday at the press conference. I wanted to bring you a bottle of Red Stitch. Dave has given me a couple bottles of Red Stitch over the years, so I have a couple saved. I promise when you bring me back, hopefully you bring me back on the show. This doesn't become a total disaster, but when you bring me back, I promise you I will bring you a bottle of Dave Roberts wine, Red Stitch. Preferably the Cab. It's my favorite.
And you
but
heard
I
that here
didn't get a
folks.
chance to go home today to grab it for you. So I
I'll get in the hood.
grabbed this instead. Brooke, you want to do the honors?
Oh yeah. You guys talk amongst yourselves while I
We got
battle
these
with this
Moscow
for like
Mule
30
mugs.
minutes.
We'll be drinking our red wine. None for you. Hey, you're driving. None for you. You're the DD.
She's a very good boy. So we got some of the
DD.
we got some questions over here. Of course, we got some people hitting the stream. AJ says Brock Stewart in years past pitched great in AAA too.
Brock Stewart's a great AAA pitcher
yeah.
for sure.
Well, not this year. Was his ERA's 8 in AAA this year?
I think this is
yeah.
his final year of being over it.
Yeah.
I'm done doing this.
I
crap,
think-
I
guys.
agree.
Yeah, Brooke and I have mentioned it a few times. We
His
actually
dad's a famous scout. He might
Yeah,
have a career
Jeff.
in that if he wants to
we
do it.
ran
Yeah.
into Dave over there in Jeff. Was it Dave? Oh, sorry,
Jeff.
Dave Stewart is a different Stewart, but yeah, we ran into
Yeah,
Jeff.
it is a different
That is a
story.
different
Yeah,
Stewart.
we ran into him in spring training, and yeah, he was like,
His honesty is great.
He's like,
I love
I'm
that,
not
man.
sure if you're a big leaguer there, Chifo, and I guess problems with the misses. Jess is in the stream. How you doing, Jess? Says Mellow is chilling. Yeah,
She
look
is
at
chilling.
that.
Is there?
Good.
Can I see the stream too? Is it possible?
Yeah, it's
How
in
do
there.
I
Just
do
make
that?
sure you're not. We don't want to do the loopity. The loopity.
Oh, the sound loopity.
Yeah, no,
That's
no.
actually the best part of the show. Whenever that
Oh, it's
happens.
muted, so we should be good. there.
Giancarlo says enough with Barnes. I wasn't cut to wear a Dodger uniform. We need to figure. I guess it's about Will Smith's season, but yeah, he
Is that
did.
what he's referring to?
Barnes was very serviceable in his time. You needed a catcher. You needed that bridge. You needed a backup or a sort of tandem with Yasmani. And I wonder how many people really feel kind of dumb about Yasmani at this point. He's an all-star. He did well. I haven't seen if he's done his trademark second half slump or if he's still catching balls. But at the time, you knew, one, he wanted multi-year deal. He wanted to try to get something. It didn't work out for him, unfortunately. But with how deep the Dodgers are at catcher, yeah, it's like, oh, you're supposed to put that in the mic.
My bad.
Ba-boom.
You were talking.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
want to
right.
interrupt you.
But
All
words,
right, I think I'm in the comments.
Oh, look at that. We got a celebrity in the comments, guys.
I ran into Dave Stewart in the
Like,
press
ask
box
himself
when
what-
he was general manager of the Diamondbacks.
General manager.
That guy, he's really a little bitter bee that he got fired from the Diamondbacks. In fact, I saw a quote from him. I think it was last season or the season before. He was like, "That's my roster. I built that roster that went to the postseason. Those are all my moves." He was still taking credit out there. You can have all the credit now for Zach Greinke's $35 million a year annual average
That's
value.
all you, bro. You
That's
can have that
all
one,
you.
man.
SD Dodger Tim says Dave Stewart would probably pitch better than Brock Stewart right now. You know what? First point to the stream right there.
Janae said I was struggling with the bottle. I was not struggling with the bottle, Janae. I can open bottles.
We all struggle with the bottle. Clint, little red.
I think I'm gonna have to drink out of the bottle or hover it. I'll have to
You
hover.
get a cup for you. Can someone get a water for me too, as well? Is that possible?
Yeah, we weren't prepared. Oh wait, I have like mugs.
Got it?
Hand me
There you
this.
go.
Hand me this.
Mug,
Me.
I got a mug here. Oh, wait, I got a fortune cookie in it.
No, that's a statement cookie sliver.
Go for a long walk. It says,
Yeah, no, that's not the broken one.
with your dog.
Dog.
Maybe
Actually, I will
after-
take that
maybe
cup
after
from
the
you.
podcast.
I mean, the wine kills any of the
sir.
poison.
Take the. Oh, I put the fortune cookie back in it. So
Oh, that's good.
thank you so much.
But Brooke, you got any more questions from the stream right now? While I pour me a glass of fancy over there.
Why don't we crack a bottle of this Lasorda up here? Well, look
No,
at
he
that.
spotted
know,
the
that's-
Lasorda. He knows.
By the
he
way,
knows.
fun fact from my accountant and to all your listeners out there.
His
If-
accountant
if
is
you-
Mellow.
If my accountant, I bring Mellow to my accountant all the time. If I was to gift you guys that bottle of wine, I could not write it off my taxes. If I were to place a Duarte label on it, just put a sticker on it, calling it Duarte label
Uh-huh.
or Mellow label, then I could write it off. So
I'm going to need Brooke
This-
stickers everywhere.
It's a write-off.
this is a write-off. We might not even know if this is his wine, but that's his sticker.
That's good.
And therefore, tax write-off for him. So I don't know if you guys have been ever like Sweets at Dodger Stadium before, right?
Uh-huh.
Right.
They got the Dodgers wine in there. I mean,
Yes.
it could be $2 Chuck with the label peeled off
I'm sure.
and a Dodgers
Yeah.
label put on, and they write the whole thing off,
I'm sure.
giving it to the sponsors out there in those corporate suites.
Tommy tax evasion, Lasorda.
SD Dodger Dave.
Someone said they thought I was stripling.
I saw that, yeah.
Stripling's got his neck guys in a brace right now as he's flying to D.C. probably.
Ooh.
Oh, that's good.
We'll get into stripling in a minute, but SD Dodger Dave, the most important one we had in here here so far, Martha Stewart too. Martha Stewart might pitch better than Brock Stewart at the moment.
Oh, okay. I
second that.
saw Martha Stewart and I was like, what are they talking about?
Although Brock's my boy. I love Brock. Brock's a great guy.
Yeah, Brock is
a great
cool.
guy.
He's
Brock
never
would come
been-
on your show too if you wanted.
Brock, we're busy that week.
Brock's a guy that I always wanted to do very well. Like every time I saw him go
That
out, I was like,
phrasing,
please.
sir, phrasing.
I wanted him to do very well.
Now-
Nobody has gained more frequent flyer miles on Southwest Airlines.
Oh, man, that
than
guy's
Brock
killing it
Stewart
on those
in the
miles.
last few years. Yeah, I mean, him and I could take like a trip to like Aruba or something now on all his miles he's earned up.
Our Girk 22 says $2 Chuck rocks.
I like $2 Chuck, and there's a Trader Joe's right down the street. I just saw it as I came up.
They're full of the $2.
Well, we are
wanna
in
do
South Pass. That's the fancy area.
Yeah.
The fancy Trader
fancy
Joe's.
area. But of
Someone
course,
wants me to unblock him. Who's this person? I'll do it right
I
now.
don't know. Are we pretty certain, or can we say with extreme certainty that Will Smith is the guy coming back up? I don't know if it. I haven't seen if it's.
I mean, I put it in print, so
All right.
my reputation's on the line, but I'm pretty certain it's Will Smith that'll be coming back up.
Like
Though
our friend
we do-
Diamond
there-
Hoggers,
there's
I
gotta-
state my poor reputation.
There's got to be a move for Tyler White as well, right? So
Yeah, because
if-
he has to be up.
yeah.
The
So,
next big news, guys, trade season.
But
the
I don't-
Verse trade.
I don't think you want Russell Martin as your one and only catcher on the roster.
I think we'll be all right.
Unless Kike
Kike
Hernandez,
can catch, right?
unless Kike Hernandez
I don't know.
is going
He's
for
got-
the all 9 positions.
He's got no wrist right now, though.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, he's okay.
I don't know. You called hamster bone.
I thought it was a broken hamate bone when he swung because
But
that's a pretty common
the
bone to break in your
Dodgers-
bottom hand.
the
But they
Dodgers-
said cleared X-ray.
He's another guy I think they
Is that
wouldn't
Boston
mind
X-ray?
if he had
That's what I
gotten
said.
injured and taken a break on the IL. He's another guy that's had some struggles this year. I thought he'd have a big year, and he's been down a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
A little bit.
Age. But we had the first Dodgers officially open trade season, and they went out and got not Thor. They got
All right, I'm
somebody
unblocking. All right.
significantly worse than Thor. We got
was the-
Tyler White from the Evil Astros. Why? Brooke, what is this move to you?
This is when like you're at your friend's house and you're like it's
love
winter time and it's really cold outside and then you guys drink a little bit and then you're like we should go outside and you're like all right let's go outside and then your friend has a pool and you're like oh we should jump in the pool and then you're like it's probably pretty cold and they're like yeah it probably is pretty cold you're right and they're like oh just like put one foot in and just kind of slide into the pool don't jump in because you'll freeze to death right away and die. I think it's like that.
Wait, in
You're
terms of like dipping your toe into the
in,
trade?
and then you go. You can't just jump headfirst in.
So is Tyler White the toe, or is he the pool?
He's
Maybe-
part of the pool.
Can I just throw out some secret KGB stuff right
yeah,
now?
absolutely. Anytime you would like to.
Could Tyler White be like this, like former Astro, knows the inside of that organization, knows the personnel, knows the pitchers very well, knows the mixes, maybe knows
he's
what
like, here's
Garrett
this-
Cole's,
Yeah.
what pine tar Garrett Cole,
He's
where
like,
he
here's the
keeps it.
substance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is it behind Garrett Cole's ear? Is
They're
it
like-
under the lid of his cap? Like Tyler White might be like a shifty KGB spy move that could work
now
out
we're
great.
talking. Now I'm about
You
it.
know?
They're like, check underneath his front lip.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or top lip. It's under there.
That seems like an uncomfortable spot to put pine tar. But
Well,
you know
look,
what?
if you don't want to get caught on camera on national TV, you got to make do. So I think he found a way, guys. I don't really understand the trade at all. Maybe, Michael, you can expand on
Some
it maybe
people
a
are
little bit. Some
saying-
people are...
like like it's a big time. It could be a big time sleeper move. I just don't see
They
it.
do make a lot of those moves. In the past, they've made a lot of those moves.
This felt every way, shape, and form like an August move. The
Yeah.
type of August move that Friedman would normally make, but he can't make anymore because August doesn't exist.
Yeah.
They
This
straight up
feels,
got rid
like
of
I
it.
said, it could be just a let's get some intel on the Astros move. But first base is one of those plug and play situations right
Right.
now this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Brooke, you could come play. Melly, you want to play first base for the Dodgers? I
Even
mean,
though we have
right
a
now
Gold
it's
Glover in
available.
right field, but
yeah,
you know.
exactly. A Gold Glove first baseman who could also do it, but I don't know. Do you remember when Cody Bellinger in 2017, they put him in right field in that Detroit series, and he went up for a ball and got hurt, and
He
then
got
they were
hurt
like,
like
we're
right
never
away.
putting him in the outfield again.
Yeah.
He's beefing up next year and playing first base only. Well, let's see how long did that last.
Yeah.
But it could be just a situation where they needed to get another first baseman in there because right now it has just been, Jock Peterson's experiment at first base has not worked out very well.
If we go back a few episodes on that one.
Matt Beatty is there. So this could be, it even could be, I don't know how Tyler White's defensive metrics are. I can look at the stats right now, pull them up, but that might be one of those late inning first
Right.
base defensive moves you make.
I mean, he's a thick boy. He doesn't seem like he'd be overly defensively gifted. in
Usually
my
thick boys
expert
are not.
managerial.
But at this point, it's just
opinion.
like scooping those balls out of the dirt. That's what Jock
Yeah.
has struggles with, and staying on the base too. So
Yeah, like looking at
it's really all you need.
Like I was judging the throw, not judging the throw from Seager because it was the right play to do in the final game there in against Anaheim. The 2 hop to first base.
Yep.
1,000 million. I bet you all of the money in the world that Jock Peterson would have booted that play because he just would have been stuck out there with his glove and it would have booted off. But Matt Beatty, friend of the show, he nicely turns his glove. He looks like an athlete, and chef's kiss.
That's because he plays first base.
What?
You got one fan said
You confused the
one-
dog.
One guy said Tyler White could be the Max Muncy 2.0, the next Max Muncy.
What this feels like a little bit more to me is just one with maybe Kike might be hitting the IL, but also it's more just they need a right-handed batter. They feel they need to balance out the bench and the lineup a little bit more.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, Will Smith will probably be the move for Barnes. I wouldn't be surprised if Ross or Kike is the IL move to get Tyler White back up.
Right.
Just because both were fine, and they said they were fine after, and X-rays were negative. But now that it's a 10-day, you might as well do something with either of those two guys. Give them the extra day, especially maybe Ross, because they're just trying to figure out why it keeps happening. It's been a reoccurring issue for him.
It's not going to be a phantom IL like what's his name? What's that guy's name? Exactly, Dylan Floro, because he's a secret. With Stripling, he exited after 5 innings pitched, 62 pitches. It really, the way they're talking about it, he was saying, I think after the game, Ross said he's feeling about 50-50 about whether he can make his next start. Most likely, with the way the Dodgers operate, it feels like an IL move. Who do we see plugging in that situation?
The thing is, and you guys know this. You guys know this it could be Thor. Finally, you segue to Thor, Clint. I was waiting for that.
We haven't hit our deep trade talks yet.
I don't know how deep the Thor trade talks are, but
how
but
deep
I,
is
you know
your
what? I will
Thor?
say this, and we'll get into it. But a lot of people texted me when that Bleacher Report story came out, or that it was tweeted out by SNW that the Dodgers were interested in Thor. A lot of texts going, what? They're surprised. Have you heard this? The 2 people at this table who were not surprised by that at all, Mellow and I. And we'll share some stories about that a little later.
We're going to have to ask Mellow about that.
Yeah, but that didn't surprise me at all. His name has come up before.
Yeah, right.
So,
Be Thor.
Yeah, the Thor.
Wow.
But, as you know, what I was going to say was...
Thank you.
As you know, because you've had Ross on the show, the guy is the most positive, optimistic...
Right.
And straightforward and honest guys that you'll ever meet. So when he's saying he's 50-50 for his next start,
right.
That probably is more like 25-75 because he's going to want to go out there and give it his all, everything. So if he thinks he's 50-50, that tells me it's a little bit less than that, especially the front office probably saying, hey, maybe it's time you take a break.
Yeah, he really never wants to let his team down or feel like he's letting his team down. Yeah, I really do think it's going to end up being an IL stint for him. And, you have your moves there. That's going to need a spot starter. Is Julio going to be the guy? Because I hate it. But I also see the innings implications because you need him to start piling up more innings if you want him to start next season. Is Julio on that list? Is it maybe there's 2 40-man spots right now. Does Dustin May get added? Do they start the clock on him?
There's a guy with a mustache that I think could be called up and made another start if it's his turn. I'm not sure how it lines up, but
he's been struggling and his innings are down right now. He's only pitching he's 2 innings.
2 or 3 innings in his past. I think he's given up 14 earned runs in his last 5 starts.
He's been bad recently, but he's a guy that I think will get called up in September as well.
Yeah.
And if it's just one spot start, maybe you do that him, then throw Dustin May into the fire yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially with Dustin's name coming up a lot in trade talks, but so has Tony's. So those are both 2 guys that maybe you don't want to, put out there and get lit up or something, especially in Colorado.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be awful. So
that also feels like such a Dodger move.
But you know what? It could just be.
Out there
It could just be because it is
Colorado.
Colorado. It could just be a bullpen game.
Yeah.
Knowing that that's just kind of the way it goes out there. You go out there. You could start Casey Sadler for an inning or 2. And
No,
just
we
kinda
like
see
him,
what
though.
happens. I mean, everybody gets lit up in Colorado. Walker Buehler got lit up. Hyunjin Ryu. Without those, was it 7 runs or was it 9? I don't remember. 7 earned runs in that last start. His ERA would have been like under 150 at the break. That would have been nuts. So. even Hyunjin Ryu, the All-Star Game starting pitcher,
got lit up there.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
the
really
NLERA leader got lit
just ban Coors Field already. Just make it go away.
After like a certain altitude, you're not allowed to have a stadium.
Maybe that's why I don't like the taste of Coors Light anymore, because I just have such now an extra deep-seated distaste for Coors Field. That's what I'm going with.
They're definitely not sponsoring us now.
It's all right. We're going Pacifico this week. I'm very happy. It's weird out of a can, though, I'll tell you. Of course.
Well, they said Gonsolin pitched tonight, so I guess he would be in line technically then, right?
Yeah, it lines up.
It would line up perfectly, especially with today being the off day, and they're going to keep everybody on turn. So
for me,
because they're going to need it.
SD Dodger Tim says Gonsolin was awful tonight.
There you go.
He's awful, but everyone's going to be awful in Colorado. It's
if he is on the trade map, though, if he is in conversations, why not take the risk of bringing him up and having him pitch 5 shutout innings and there you go. There's some added trade value to that.
That's the other side of the coin, is that he could come up and do really well. He's a guy I know they really like and they're really high on, so I don't necessarily think they want to include him. I think it's the same thing, to be honest with you, with Dustin May. I don't think he's a guy they want to move either. They're really high on him.
It feels to me like Lux and May are the most untouchable guys right now.
That's what I would agree with you. Yeah, 100%. I would say Lux and May are the two untouchables right now. I think it's crazy because Keibert Ruiz is still listed as the top prospect in baseball according to MLB.com and Prospects America. But I think out of everybody we just talked about, I think he would be the one, because of the logjam at that position, especially in the farm system, that the team would be willing to move, whereas Lux and May would be a little bit more untouchable than some of the other guys.
As is Brooke. I will not trade Brooke for anything. I'll trade Rick Krajewski. I did it last week for Amir Garrett. I still haven't gotten the paperwork through. I shouldn't.
Appreciate that.
When I was at the field on Tuesday, I really should have spoke to the commissioner to be like, "Hey, man, like I have
a proposal for you.
I have a proposal.
You
Can
know
we
that
get
guy
it?"
Rick in the booth?
Rick in the booth, boys.
Clint, did you notice the secret security around the MLB commissioner? He had like 2 guys in suits with earpieces. Like, I was like, whoa.
He wanted
this guy rolling in like a bulletproof.
He's got a target on his back
limo
or something,
out
man.
front.
He was
Manfred.
rolling. He was rolling a little deep.
Like security in like a private press conference in the center field of Dodger Stadium. I was like, what's going to happen? Vince Scully's going to come up and give him with a left hook.
Meanwhile, Vin Scully's security guard was Charlie Steiner on the way out.
It was, yeah.
What better security
Poor
guard?
Tommy Lasorda, I think, got heat stroke. Like immediately when that thing wrapped up, he went straight under the tent. Needed this hat. We gave him one of these hats. Got some water.
That was a lot for Tommy.
That was a lot.
And
it's
Tommy,
hot out here, guys.
Tommy being Tommy, they announced his name. I think it was Vin
tried
by
to
that point. He
stand
tried
up,
to stand up. We love you,
We
Tommy.
all were like, oh, stay down. Stay down.
Even Dave, like, no, please, come on.
It's
Tommy,
like that Rocky 1 fight when they're like, stay down, stay down. It's like,
down,
Tommy,
Tom.
I was saying the same thing.
Mr. Mondo brings up a very important point when it comes to everybody.
I do like DJ Peters, whoever just commented.
Oh, DJ
on
Peters
that.
is
DJ
awesome.
Peters is another guy I like. He's another guy that's name has come up in trade talks.
He's been great,
especially
ever since
for
he cut
Felipe
the hair.
Vasquez, by the way.
Ooh, that's a name. That's a name we want.
He's a large human.
We're gonna get into the trade talk in a second. Oh yeah, I ran into him in spring training. Large boy.
Large boy.
Mr. Mondo reminds everybody. Remember, Dodger fans, Cubs gave up Gleyber Torres at the Yankees to get Aroldis Chapman. You do have to trade big to get big. You can't just go and be like, oh, we're gonna throw in Brock Stewart and whoever else, Jock Peterson, and you're gonna go get Felipe Vasquez or something like that. It's not gonna happen. That's not the way it works.
Well, see,
says you.
It's interesting situation. You hear the name Chapman, and people forget that season the Dodgers actually had acquired Chapman.
Yeah.
Okay, and then his domestic violence arrest comes out, and then he gets suspended, and then that trade with the Dodgers and Reds falls apart because we didn't want a wife beater on this team.
Right.
And I agree with that.
100%.
Good call on that one.
So then the Yankees were like, oh sure, we'll take anybody and everybody on this team. So they pick him up. It's kind of like the Washington Redskins, right? Of baseball. So they pick him up. The Cubs trade for him, but he was going to be, and that's right. That is how they got Gleyber Torres. But he was going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So that's a rental. The Dodgers have proven they're willing to go after rentals.
Yeah.
Manny Machado, Yu Darvish, Ryan Madsen to try to win a championship. Felipe Vasquez is under control and is very cheap. So it costs you a lot more in that situation. Now, the funny thing with Felipe Vasquez is we're kind of just getting into these kind of trade talks now is when Brad Hand was acquired by the Indians, was it last year?
Yes.
Last year at the deadline. That only cost you the Padres' number 1 top prospect, right, in the catcher. And they got 2 relievers intact for that. So when I was thinking about these big names, the names that were being thrown out, the Brad Hands, the Felipe Vazquez, the Kirby Yates names, as far as closers are concerned. I'm thinking, okay, so if it'll just cost you Keibert Ruiz, let's get this done. But from what my sources are telling me, the Pirates are like, no, it's Ruiz and it's May. And it's maybe another guy like in the 25 to 30 range of the prospect list, and that's where the Dodgers are balking. It's like, what else do you want? You want our soul? You want to throw Tommy Lasorda into the mix?
and that's where I've
creative Tommy Lasorda wine.
Yeah, we got some wine.
Yeah, we'll throw in whatever you want.
Not a sponsor, but
so
we'll
the Pirates
take it.
are asking for a lot, not just what is the precedent. As we saw last year with an all-star closer like Brad Hand.
And a lot of that comes from, and I've been mentioning it the last few weeks here on the podcast, when we see like, oh, just go get this person, it's everybody knows like the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. There are also about 7 teams that would love to have the Oklahoma City Dodgers lineup in the major leagues right now. The Dodgers are incredibly deep. That's what she said. They're incredibly stacked. The Dodgers are an amazing, they have an amazing farm system, even though it's only ranked like 3rd or something like that, I think, by Baseball America. But they're still.
I don't think it's ranked that good.
The most recent. You got to figure like these people like Devin Mann, who's moved up. The kid Cody Jose or whatever his name is.
It's not Jose.
they call me Jose. Yeah, but. By the way, when he comes up, that's totally going to be it. When he's in a Pirates uniform for Felipe Vazquez. But they're an incredibly deep team, and people want to unseat the champ, which is Dodgers, even though like we're the best team to ever not win it, it feels like right now. But people really, really want to dethrone the Dodgers right now and get them off their high horse, even though they're not really trying to do that. Life of a Bruin, by the way, says Michael Duarte is a ridiculously good looking for a journalist. So we're
for a journalist.
I think someone thank you appreciate that out there. I think someone said Melly is a very handsome dog. Mellow. I think she's more ridiculously good looking than me up here and anybody up here.
That's a good call on that one.
I think we're all very ridiculously good looking people for what we do for a living.
For what did
you put in that wine?
Throw that part in there.
Exactly.
Speaking of being ridiculously good looking, you guys can go visit our shop. I don't know what camera I'm looking at, but visit our shop at that's just pointing directly. DodgersNation.com/shop, and you can get some really, really cool merch. We have that shirt. Think Blue, Bleed Blue is a fine shirt. You don't have this shirt. You got to go hit up Zed if you want this shirt. He pays it. He'll hand paint it for you. We have the friend of the show shirt. We have a really, really awesome Ryu shirt in there. We got a super cool, as designed by one of our Dodgers Nation writers' wives, a Cody Bellinger ridiculous shirt. Like there's so much cool stuff.
I don't even have that shirt.
The Silver Fox shirt.
I don't have any of these shirts.
Check it out again. DodgersNation.com/shop, and you can use our special promo code BHLive20.
We should make Ross Stripling a shirt, right? He'd rock it.
Yeah, a Ross shirt. Yeah,
Ross shirt.
Boss Ross.
We give him the friend of the show shirt, and I haven't seen him wearing it anywhere. What up, Ross? It's rude. It's hurtful.
Or something, right?
Strip club. That was one of the ones we really. I think I was most on board with Strip Club of his. You
were,
nicknames.
but I think it was a family friendly show, so I call him Landing Strip, which is awesome.
Landing Strip is awesome. I didn't even think about that one. You know, when the Players Only came out a couple of years ago, the inaugural Players Only weekend. And he first came up with Chicken Strip. I asked him, like, what are you talking about, man? I know your nickname. Like, nobody calls you that. They call him Stripper. Like, that's everybody's ever called him that.
Yeah.
So, like, where'd it come from? He's like, I thought we were having fun with it and, like, go out there. But, like, fans really took to it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
they
could have put, but they also could have put Stripper on the back of his shirt, and like there could have been.
He said they got that MLB shut it down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they shut that down.
He said, "I tried to put Stripper, but
because a stripper pole on the mound would be awesome, right?" He comes out of the pen or to start the game with a stripper pole and Players Weekend right on the mound.
You're getting some attention.
I know the DJ personally, man. We could put up pour some sugar on me, Def Leppard or something. Like
this is now the intellectual property of Dodgers Nation. No one is able to steal any of these ideas.
I agree with the Orlando Bloom one.
You also like Orlando Bloom. That's a pretty close one.
I get John Mayer a lot now, but. I don't like James Franco, so I'll take.
You got a John Mayer look about you too.
But he
That's a
didn't
good
get
thing.
Joey
Thank
Fatone.
you.
We definitely didn't get.
No Joey Fatone. We won't go there though.
By the way, I also got to mention our Chicks Dig the Lawn Jangle shirt. That's a cool shirt.
is
As
a good
done
shirt.
by our own insider sources.
Yeah.
That guy.
Clint, I
over there.
wanted to piggyback on something you just said because you were talking about how deep the farm system is, and other teams out there, especially in the NL, especially in the NL West, would love to see this farm system get gutted. And the reason why the Dodgers are so deep and have been deep every year, and like you said, that's what she said. The reason why this team has won 6 straight NL West titles and is, pretty much has 7th on a platter right now for them is because of how deep they are at the farm system, that if anybody goes down, they can plug and play and someone else, and then they keep going. And that is because Andrew Friedman has held on to guys like Walker Buehler, Corey Seager, Julio Urias, Cody Bellinger, Jock Peterson. I can't tell you how many times Steve Mason out there has said, trade anybody for whoever the best pitcher is available.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have any of these guys on there. We wouldn't build for the future. And so he doesn't make stupid moves at the deadline like some other teams have done where they kind of gut their farm system. I mean, look at the Angels, and they're still hurting from their trades in their farm system. But that reminded me of what Manny Machado said to that fan, that video that went viral where he said, I bet you that the Padres win the World Series. I bet you my contract, the Padres win the World Series before he does. Like, that guy who does have some really good seats has $300 million lying around, but that's what teams like the Padres and Manny Machado want.
Yeah,
they're not worried about this year; they're worried about the next 5 years.
Right,
and they want the Dodgers to trade Keibert Ruiz, who people believe could be the next Grandal, but better defensively, perhaps.
Right.
A switch hitting catcher who just mashes.
He really looks like a young Victor Martinez.
Oh yeah,
back when
Victor Martinez,
back when Vmart was actually still a catcher.
Yeah.
And the swing is right there. Like, he definitely has the potential to be a brilliant player. But again, at some point,
Marlins wanted Bellinger for Real Muto, Jack, whoever just made that comment.
Yeah,
he's right.
That was
he's
never going to happen. Of course, Belly was already an established big leaguer by that time. There's one that a lot of people don't like to think back. A little throwback Thursday for you. Casey Blake cost the Dodgers Carlos Santana, not the guitarist, but
the player and the guitarist,
the 2019 Home Run Derby participant. But as good as Santana has gone on to be, he's had a great career. At the time, you think about it, the Dodgers had gone through about 15 third basemen since they let Beltre walk, since Frank McCourt let Beltre walk, and you had to trade something to help solidify a position that desperately needed it. Sure, Casey Blake was like a 28-year-old rookie who had sort of established himself on Cleveland, but he was a good player and he was a balanced player for this team and a perfect complement for when Manny Ramirez came over. And it was just, man, it was a fun time. But still, years later, you see Santana still playing, and it's like, oh, Casey Blake hasn't played in this many years. It's like, that's the way baseball works. Was it Ned Coletti told me months and months ago? It's like, hey, look at these prospects. They're just, I think it was last year. Look at these prospects. They're prospects. All they are, they're currency. You have to look at them that way and not get too attached to them, because at some point you're trying to win here, but you have to think a little bit about the future and all that. But
it's why,
don't get too attached to kids unless it's Gavin Lux.
It's why Andrew Friedman has been so amazing at that balancing act, where even when he makes a trade, he'll then make another trade where he gets like a guy like Jeter Downs, and gets more prospects back.
Right.
So it's if I lost a little bit in the farm system, I'm going to bolster it back.
Yeah.
And like you said, he treats it like currency. Like, these are all valuable assets, and the more I can collect, the more pieces of gold I have, then the more I can do with it and then trade with it. And he always does that. So even if he makes a move here at the deadline now and loses prospects, like people say, I wouldn't be surprised if he trades a guy like Jock Peterson or something in the offseason and gets those prospects back to make that farm system bountiful.
He did this last offseason. It was trading 3 expiring contracts, and now you plugged in 2 dudes who I think they're both now in the top 15 in Dodgers prospects, at least rated by MLB. It was a brilliant trade that everybody hated at the time because you're losing Yasiel Puig, which he just didn't have a spot so much on this team anymore, unfortunately. Or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, because you see what this team is doing. But yeah, Andrew Friedman doesn't get the credit he deserves from time to time. But also, go out and get us Felipe Vasquez.
The other thing is, and this is what people are talking about right now with Madison Bumgarner, right? Is trading the fan favorite,
Right.
trading the guy that fans love and that fans will riot over if you lose him, right? When I remember when they traded Matt Kemp, there was a girl, I won't say who it is.
First time or second time?
But first time.
Okay.
First time.
That was a big
Who
deal.
was a journalist who was in tears. We're talking about a journalist, someone who's supposed to remain neutral,
Right.
who was in tears when they sent Matt Kemp to San Diego Padres the first time. And the fans hated it too.
Right.
And look, I was a Matt Kemp fan as far as covering this team. He was a guy that was always great with me and kind, and we had a good established relationship at the time. So, it's frustrating when you see guys like that go. Alex Wood was one of those guys. Yasiel Puig and I had a great relationship, so he was a guy that I was bummed to see that go. But you have to take the emotion out of it, and he got Yasmani Grandal out of it and got a lot out of Grandal compared to what Matt Kemp, and then got Matt Kemp back,
Right.
on the cheap, got an all-star run out of him in the first half, and then turned around and traded him away in the final year of his contract, saving that money. So, you have to, and you said it the best. We all love Yasiel Puig. Nobody, I don't think, who's a fan of the Dodgers doesn't love the energy and the passion and the childlike nature that this game is a kid's game, and he always brought that. But like you said, when you look at it wisely, right? You have way too many outfielders. You have a crowded outfield, and here's a guy who is entering the last year of his contract.
Yeah.
So you either just keep him around so fans can cheer him one more time and then watch him go sign with Miami at the end of the season, or you get something back for him, and even if that's cap space, which is kind of what they did, and it worked out. And look what Cody Bellinger's been able to do now as the starting right fielder and the everyday right fielder. So you have to. I mean, I don't know what the Giants are going to do. I think Farhan is probably, happy that they're on this crazy run, they're on this hot stretch, but also really I had this whole thing mapped out and ready to go, and some guys that were on the move, and now I'm screwed.
Yeah, his hands are really, really tied with that because, like you're saying, Mad Bum, franchise icon. Bruce Bochy's last year as a manager.
Correct, yeah.
Those are two huge things and two huge players that mean so much to the organization since they moved to San Francisco. Those are like two of the premier players. I wanted to touch on one thing.
But he was brought in as this MIT genius to change that team around. So he's like, do I do the Kobe lap? Do I give it that 1 year where Bochy and Mad Bum give it, or do I actually try to turn this team around the way I want to do it? Yeah,
and the run definitely has made his Kobe lap a little bit easier right now. I don't think they're going to go out and get anybody because they don't have anybody to trade. But
the funny thing is people are actually calling them buyers, where it's like not so much that as a lack of being sellers. So I have friends that are actually Giants fans, and they messaged me and they were like, the worst thing to happen to the Giants this season is for them to start winning all of a sudden. And I was like, that's 100% true, because if you had just tanked the rest of the year, you might be able to absorb trading away a Madison Bumgarner. Your fan base might be able to handle it. But now it's like, I don't know if they can take that.
Somebody had talked about like the Giants trying to go out and get Thor or something like that. It's like, I don't think that's going to happen. But a couple of points here. So SD Dodger Tim always loved the Kyle Farmer trade, which it's always going to be known as the Kyle Farmer trade around here. I saw another one.
Him and Alex Wood were best friends. I think that might have been something to do with them going together.
Probably.
Those Georgia guys are best friends in the off season, live together, hang out together. So, I mean, those were guys that I think might have been, because I had originally heard Brock Stewart was in that trade, to be honest with you.
I had kind of.
And then it was Farmer at the last second was kind of like the last player to be named about 5 minutes after. And I think that's because him and Alex Wood are just kind of like a, they're peanut butter and jelly. Yeah, they're a package deal.
Jack says
it was like Tobias Harris and Boban, kind of always going together as a package deal for years in every trade in the NBA.
Go ahead. You're going with them.
Jack says Friedman fleeced the Reds. We got Josiah Gray and Jeter Downs for 4 players we don't need. 100%. They didn't need him at the time, and it's a great trade.
And then they DFA Matt Kemp. They're probably going to lose Puig if they don't trade him. And by the way, do you guys know where Matt Kemp is right now? You guys been following?
He got signed didn't he get signed by the Mets, and then he got cut loose by the Mets?
He got cut loose by the Mets after 9 games in Syracuse in AAA. Like he's probably sitting back somewhere, with that big paycheck he's making. But he got
cheers, Matt.
Cut from the AAA Syracuse Mets.
I remember
Team Tebow is on that team, by the way, batting 168. But you cut Matt Kemp off that team. That's pretty interesting.
Matt Kemp's not selling tickets. Tim Tebow does.
Tim Tebow sells tickets.
Look at how much that trade, for Matt Kemp, look at how much Ned Colletti got out of an 8-year, $160 million Matt Kemp. There was a
nuts,
lot of
man.
prospects that ended up coming back to the Dodgers, and a lot of Matt Kemp is the
other thing
man
is,
just keeps on giving.
Like we said, like he's willing to gamble on these guys who are in the end of the contract year for a 3-month rental, and then he's also willing to part with guys who are in the final. Alex Wood's on the final year of his deal too. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like he was another guy you hate to see go. You want that starting pitching depth. You want him to be able to build the bullpen. But if he's going to walk in the offseason also for nothing, get something back, and this, like we said, he gets prospects back from it. He gets cap space. So, yeah, it was a very good move from the start that they were able to do that.
So we've been talking, obviously, a lot of trades and around trades, but we haven't really officially started digging into trades. We alluded to San Francisco. How much do the Giants, who are obviously going to be sellers, everything was like they have all these pieces that make so much sense. They're going to get back probably 15 prospects at this deadline. Now they're hot. They're trying to pretend they're going for that second wild card spot or whatever it is. How much do the Giants being hot change the market?
Oh, wine.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was like, what?
How much does that hot streak change the market? What do you think, Brooke?
I mean, it really does. Like you're saying, it does put Farhan in a really weird position where, he gets kind of handcuffed. And I think he wanted to do it his way, and I think he had every intention of doing it his way. And I think he had probably a really good plan for it. I mean, with it being Bochy's walk year, it was kind of just like here it is. Like, we're going to run it back one more season. Obviously, we're not going to win anything this season. You're going to start seeing the rebuild happen. The teardown's happening now. Yeah. Everyone knew it was coming. For them to go on this streak now, it's like, okay, Madison Bumgarner probably not being traded. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I don't think now the fans can absorb it because they understand that the fan base is obviously he's a fan favorite and he's there for a reason. But now that you're actually winning ball games, it makes that a lot harder for a fan base to absorb, especially a delusional one that thinks you're actually going to win something or stand a chance in the playoffs, which would be the Giants fan base at this very moment. So with that, it does change the market incredibly because now there's one less starting pitcher or one less pitcher in general, a big name pitcher on the market. Mm-hmm. So with that, those other big names that are out there right now get a little increase in value. I think Thor's value just went up a little bit. I was surprised to see the report that was coming out about it. That was basically like they needed one top 30 prospect and then some relatively major league talent ready.
That made
was weird.
no
that
sense.
Didn't make any sense to me at all.
So you can give him number 29 prospect in your farm system for Thor? Like,
I was like,
that's not happening.
How long is he under control? He's through 2021?
Yeah.
Through 2021.
So Thor...
And he's only 26, which is beyond
Thor was
comprehension.
Thor was a guy the Dodgers checked in on in the offseason, I had been told. And at that moment, I was like, really? That's interesting. But it was just one of those things where, Mets new guard coming in. What are they thinking? Are they going to be going for it? Are they going to want to reload, get their own guys in?
I think everybody was, what were they thinking when they went out and got Eddie Diaz and a 900-year-old Robin Cano?
Well, the funny thing is in these talks right now, Wilson Ramos, a guy that they acquired and wanted, to bolster that catching position, which was Achilles' heel for them in 2018, is now a guy whose contract and who they have is a little bit of an albatross. And so I was told that in these very preliminary discussions for Thor, and it's probably with any team, that the Mets would like to unload Ramos's contract in any deal and have a team absorb him back. Now that's probably a deal breaker for the Dodgers because that's a position that you don't need. Like we said, we already have a logjam at. Now, he could be an offensive improvement this year, but you have Will Smith and Keibert Ruiz ready to come up. Starting in opening day 2020, maybe even, next week, tomorrow. So, you don't know. I honestly don't think Thor goes anywhere. And as you touched upon it, Clint, with the Giants, and this has been what has been so interesting this particular trade deadline. First of all, this is the one and only trade deadline this year. There's no more waiver trade deadline on August 30th where, if you missed a guy or I just want to tweak something else and get a guy, or look at what happened with Justin Verlander, right? Yeah. Wasn't able to go anywhere, wasn't able to find the deal. You saw when that particular year in 2017 when Dallas Keuchel came out and was upset that the Astros didn't do more at the deadline. Yeah. Well, now we got another 30 days to work it out and make it work. And, people put everybody on waivers. Bryce Harper went on waivers last year and the Dodgers claimed him and tried to get him there. So that's now gone. So this is it. Yeah. And the problem is we are still 5 days out and, there's like over 20 teams who are within 7 games with 60 or less left. That's definitely something you can catch up on. And these teams are all struggling to figure out, especially with the second wild card in place, what are we going to do? Are we going to buy? Are we going to sell? And that's making this so murky. And that's why I shared with you, Clint, on Tuesday, like, I think this thing goes down to the wire because teams are going to be up until this weekend trying to figure out once and for all. And we're talking teams like the Reds, the Pirates. Are they going to be buyers or are they going to sellers or are they going to stand pat? And I think that's really going to make, the picture more clear on what players will be available. And as people have been commenting in this chat, but we all know, bullpen help is what every contender wants right now.
Right. Yeah.
Outside of the Yankees, like every other team that's in the playoff hunt wants bullpen help.
And even the Yankees want bullpen help.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
They're trying to just go
they're,
bullpen.
Yeah, they're looking more starting pitching, but they definitely see a formula there where if you
Mm-hmm.
can knock down innings 6 through 9, lights out, you're probably going to be good. So
last week, to touch on that real quick, like last week we had Rick Krajewski in here, and that's what he's talking about. He's like, they were over there in the Boston series. He was talking to some of his friends over there in Boston, and it's like, they see the Dodgers bullpen. Oh, the Dodgers, blah, 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 bullpen. We're terrible, yada, yada. And Boston feels the same way. There are so many of these teams that are, quote, unquote, in the hunt, whether, they actually are or not, looking at you, San Fran, that are really just, they're hurting for bullpen help. And that was just my brief interjection there.
Yeah, so because of that, now let's put ourselves in the shoes of Andrew Friedman and that entire group of the brain trust, we like to call them there in the front office, all guys who have a lot of experience there. Eric Burns amongst them, who's really good in that front office. What do you do? Do you wait around until July 30th having all these preliminary discussions? And I'll tell you right now, the list of names I got like first week of July compared to just 2 days ago and 1 day ago was really long. They got a lot of irons and a lot of fires. But do you wait around to see if teams are finally going to decide to sell? And in that case, do you miss out? Because obviously these trades take time.
Yes.
I was told that Dozier trade last year kind of snuck up on people, but that had been done like 3 days prior, and it was kept it was kept very secret. And so, but like they did the medicals, they exchanged, they talked to agents, you talk to the players. It takes a while. There are deals that you can kind of get done at the last second. It's kind of like option E or F, when you have plan A, plan B, plan C fails. But if you're the Dodgers and you're Friedman and you're the front office in this situation, do you wait around to see if the Giants sell? Do you wait around to see if the Pirates decide that they're going to sell or some of these other teams? Or do you go straight to, and this is what I think they're probably doing, do you go straight to the teams like the Orioles, the Blue Jays, the Tigers, and you say, we know you're selling.
Yeah.
We've talked about these guys already. We've talked Shane Green with you. We've talked Ken Giles. We've talked Michael Givens. Hang on. Let us know if you get a better offer. But probably sometime in July 31st, these are the deals they're going to probably make rather than wait around for these other teams to figure it out.
Yeah, and the Dodgers are 14 games up in the division. They're almost 6 games up in the National League. There's no rush to go out there and make a move.
The funny thing, too, is it's with the way teams have played, especially since the All-Star break, you kind of expected a couple teams to be a little bit further out of it, whereas a lot of teams have actually gotten a little bit closer. Pittsburgh's one of those teams that has actually fallen out of it a lot since the All-Star break. They're now 9 games out of both the division and the wild card. So,
But I think Neil Huntington, the GM of that team, just like the other day, said Felipe Vasquez was going to be closing out a game in the playoffs for them. Which, you're 9 games out, but you're basically saying we're not going to sell him. That, to me, might be... let's put this out there in the ether to make teams maybe want to pony up more to try to get a guy like him.
Try to beat out the other teams on it. Yep.
Or it means that the ask that they've sent around for, all the teams have balked at it and said, we're not going to pay that steep price for him. And so they go, okay, we'll just hang on to him. So,
you're 1 game away from being double digits out of the playoffs just in general. So for you to say, he's going to be closing out games for us in the playoffs, either you're really confident in your team or you're really dumb. You're right about that. You are right. But then also
someone
Cleveland
on Twitter had put Vasquez in the face app thing.
Yeah,
he's old.
He's old. Yeah. But Cleveland is also now suddenly 2 games out of their division. They were a little further back, and people had kind of pictured them as sellers. They kind of saw Brad Hand being an option for some people out there. A lot of people are still asking about Brad Hand and where he's going to end up, and they're 2 games out now, guys. The Twins have, I wouldn't say fallen off of it, but they have not had a good streak of games as of recently, and Cleveland is really taken off. I think they've only they haven't lost very many games at all in the past 2 months, and now suddenly they're 59-42, 2 games behind the Twins and 2 games up in the wild card spot. So, I mean, Cleveland is not going to be a selling team, like it or not.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it, Brooke, because, I mean, I think, what was it? It was like end of May or June, and someone said all 6 division winners are already done, like locked in, because the Twins at that point had like opened up a big lead.
They were running away with it.
Exactly. And now it's 2. And now you're talking, you had Kluber hurt. You had Carrasco obviously going through what he's going through.
Yeah, right.
You had some injuries with that team, and now you're 2 back, and you're getting these guys back, presumably, here pretty soon. And if you hang on to Trevor Bauer and you don't trade Trevor Bauer, you have a pretty good team, and you can also bolster the team up in other ways. The theory behind the Indians being sellers, even though they were in the hunt early, was, do we want to just settle for the second wild card?
Right.
Do we want to get bounced in the first round again, or are we going to finally decide to hit the reset and get something for these players now? That was the theory, but I don't know. The playoffs, I've always said, are a crapshoot, especially in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen 100-win-plus teams get knocked out in the first round before. We've seen wild card teams go on to win it all. So if I'm Cleveland, I don't sell at all. I don't necessarily think Brad Hand's going anywhere.
No, Cleveland is definitely not in a position to sell, and they're realistic about being not in a position to sell because they need to buy. They straight up need to buy.
I think they buy. I think Yasiel Puig is a guy that could go to Cleveland too.
San Fran needs to sell. Be smart about it.
The question is who does San Fran sell? Because they got a lot of guys.
Will
They could
Smith.
sell.
Yeah, some
They could sell
Bolson
Tony
open
Watson
pieces.
and not sell Will
Just
Smith.
blow it out.
They could,
Just blow it out.
That's
There's
what
no
we all
reason.
think. But like you said, it's Boshi's last
Yeah.
year. It could be Mad Bum's last
Yeah,
year.
there's sentimental
and you're in the
reasons.
hunt for the sentimental reasons. You sell the guys that nobody cares about, and you keep the fan favorites to keep people happy.
Who's the other guy, Moronta? They have Moronta.
Yeah, he's a good guy too.
That's the bigger fellow, right?
So big boy. Tampa Bay is still right there in the hunt. They're a very good team, but it was announced today Blake Snell is undergoing elbow surgery.
Right.
Does that change the market much?
That's another starting pitcher. There's a need. There's
a need. Does Tampa Bay try to go out? Notoriously, they're not people that buy. At least buy very hard at the deadline. I don't see them going out and try to get
Don't they have
Boyd.
like 7,000 people showing up at their games though?
Yeah.
Poor Tampa Bay, man.
they
Poor
really-
Florida sports.
Yeah.
Gosh, especially Miami.
I mean, they're trying to get They're trying to get a new ballpark too, right?
There's your Miami diss
Or
of the
move
week,
the
guys.
team. I heard a theory that maybe them and Miami, because they're both kind of struggling with attendance, could like share a ballpark together.
There was the whole Tampa Bay and Canada thing.
Isn't that supposed to be
yeah,
a
that's supposed to
thing?
actually happen.
Supposed to happen,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
we're going to play half the
Honestly,
games here and half the games there.
half the
And
games
it's
in
like,
Montreal and half the games there.
That just feels like a diss to Montreal. Just give the team to Montreal. They want baseball.
they would love to have baseball
Yeah.
back. I mean, nobody's showing up to these games in Tampa Bay.
That sounds to me like a test run, right?
Right.
Like
Like,
let's
it's a test
see
market.
if Montreal.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see
Yeah.
if Montreal's back into this thing. If they
people
really
show
want
up,
a
we'll
team
move.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That
So
makes
we'll
sense.
see that.
By the way, Stagehand came up clutch and gave me another beer. So
You don't want more wine, Clint?
props. I'm not a wine drinker.
All right.
I mean, I'm
told
enjoying
you,
it.
We're classy ladies tonight, all right?
I'm drinking
We're
my
classy
beer
ladies up here. We're trying to get
with
this
my
thing going.
pinkies up.
I've had a lot of wine.
We went from Dodger Nation dirty trollops to classy ladies. Melly, you
With a
classed the
dog.
joint up. You classed the joint up.
I know. I love all the comments about the dog. Like she's
I haven't
so bored.
seen
She
those,
wants,
but I'm trying to
she
I'm
wants
bouncing around everywhere.
People are very, very excited about the dog.
People want to pet the dog.
the
They're saying
dog
she's
knows
bored.
tricks, by the way.
We're gonna get that. You know what? We're
If
gonna
you
put
want to
that
get
on
to
social
like
media
the dog tricks,
after.
we'll get to some of these crazy dog tricks. This dog is amazing.
She's big
a
on
star.
trade rumors.
So one
Look
thing,
at her face right now.
One
The
thing
camera.
There's the camera.
Yeah,
Right
she's
there.
very happy. Don't worry, guys. She's in a good place. She understands what's going on. She has a sippy cup of wine under.
She
the
gets what's
She's
happening.
been just as stressed as all you guys about the trade deadline coming up. You can see it on her face.
As much as everybody's is freaking out again, like I already said, this team is so far ahead of the National League. You don't need to worry so much. However, I don't like the idea of pussyfooting around, if that's the right word, of trying Jock Peterson at first base or whatever, because this team has 40 wins at home, 40 plus wins at home. This team needs the best record in baseball in the World Series if they want to win. If they want any chance of winning, because it just helps that much more. Most of their guys,
I don't know how'd that pay off in 2017 or even last year for that matter.
Well, they didn't have it in the World Series, and
They
that
didn't,
was
but
huge.
they lost 2 or 3 at home, so
They would have played better had they started there.
they played
Plus,
better had
I
Ryan
mean,
Madsen not grooved a 85 mile per hour fastball.
Yeah, if he had not allowed all 7 inherited runners to score, we would be a lot happier this season. But we're not.
We're not
bitter.
happy. We're bitter.
We're bitter.
Still,
We're
one
still
of-
bitter about
one
it
of the
right
best
now.
lines Brooke ever gave
Boston
me.
was the one team we didn't want.
Last season, I think, is when we were at the game. Last year when we did our big Dodgers Nation meetup. By the way, guys, we're all going to be at a Dodger game on Friday. There's your announcement. We're
Mellow
gonna
is
be
a
at
Dodger
game.
dog to. Is that James?
What?
Next Friday.
Next Friday, not
Next
this Friday.
Yeah, not tomorrow.
This Friday is tomorrow
Yeah.
We're going to be at the stadium tomorrow, just kind of chilling
in
there.
Washington.
I'll be
Yeah.
there next Friday too. So
Oh,
we'll
look
all
at
hang
that.
out. We'll go
We're
say
gonna
hi.
hang
Please
out.
fight me.
Yeah.
Is Mellow
Should I
coming?
fight you?
Mellow.
Oh, I thought you were
I
talking
brought
about-
Mellow before for the dog nights. They won't let her in the press box, unfortunately. Poor Mellow.
Wow, that's racist.
But you guys can.
She
you guys
can be
can
a
take
press
her around.
dog.
But
Yeah.
one of Brooke's all-time top lines, best lines in the world was, you remember when we all used to be happy?
Oh yeah, that was a good line.
That's,
Yeah.
that's plus stuff.
Can
But
we get that on a shirt? Just for me.
I had to just put the DN logo on there.
good, Brooke.
But the team
Just
we're
me.
seeing right now, this Dodger team, even if they don't go out and make trades, because
They're
as-
making trades.
That's,
It's
sorry,
coming.
that's already
It's
happened.
coming. Tyler White is here.
man.
But
Tyler
no,
White.
they're, I think, as I've been saying the whole time,
DH
at very
ready.
minimum, a righty and a lefty is coming.
Mhm.
Maybe even 2 righties. But at the very minimum, I think a righty or lefty is coming in the next 5 days. More likely in the final hour of July 31st.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about it here. Like I think I even spoke with you about it on Tuesday. Jake Diekman is the most Dodger type player. He's the most Andrew Friedman
Oh,
player
yeah.
in the world.
He just makes sense.
I think, we should play that game. We should play like prediction game or prognosticator
There it is,
game.
predictions. I'm going to steal yours. I'm pretty
You
sure
beat
you
Miss Cleo.
said
You can
Ian
take
Kennedy
Diekman?
too.
Yeah. Ian
'Cause
Kennedy
Ian
feels
Kennedy's
like
another guy.
such a Friedman guy, a guy who was a former starter, turned reliever, having a great year as a reliever. You know, take his stuff and run it. Pull a Joe Blanton on him, and just hope he doesn't serve up a grand slam to Wilson Contreras.
Has Tyler Thornburg been picked up by anybody yet? Because if he hasn't, that is an
That's an
absolute Andrew
What
Friedman.
about
pick.
your- Andrew Friedman?
What
And
about your
Blake
boy?
Parker.
Yeah, your boy
Blake Parker and
he was high on Blake
Tyler
Parker in the
Thornburg.
offseason.
Yeah, well, I was wrong about
The
that one. so.
three guys that I would say look at, I just mentioned them earlier, the 3 guys I really, really think fans should look at, like I said, Michael Givens in Baltimore, Shane Green in Detroit. I'm going to expand that. Ken Giles in Toronto and Diekman in Kansas City. I feel like those are 4 teams are selling.
She's very intrigued.
She's very intrigued right now by what name I'm going to say. I think those are 4 guys they're selling. We know the conversations are being had. You don't have to worry if they're on the fence or not. You don't have to give up massive top prospects for any of those guys, though I know for a couple of those guys the asks are a little high. But those are guys that you could probably be had. The question is what is the competition offering? And now it's just, negotiations and are you willing to pay the price that another team is or beat them as far as the prospect haul is concerned. With a couple of those teams, Baltimore, Toronto, even Detroit to an extent because they've had conversations in the past, those are teams that the front office are comfortable dealing with, right?
Oh, yeah.
They made trades with Toronto last year. They made trade with Baltimore for Machado. So you know that you could get a deal done there even, in the final moments if that's what takes place. So I feel like of those 4 names we just mentioned, they'll get one of those guys.
I'm really struggling right now, guys, because I'm finding some great comments about the dog. They're just too damn.
Do you get different comments than I get?
Well, we have Periscope. We're on Facebook. We're on.
Oh, so you got like all of
YouTube.
them.
Yeah, we
I
have
just
all
like
of them.
see a couple Dodger dog jokes.
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of Dodger dog.
Yeah,
jokes
we have
being
Dodger Dog.
mentioned.
Oh my, Shishi
high
Haha 369 because I just really wanted to say that. High fives. Oh man.
Well, I got the dog can probably pitch better than Yimmy. That's the comment that I got.
Facts.
Shishi
That's a
Haha
fact.
is bitter about
That is a fact.
2017.
Really, where's Josh Fields right now? Right, we
Too
DFA'd
soon.
Josh Fields.
He's working on a farm.
So Yimmy could get this runway.
Michelle
And
Carter says,
I miss
"Ugh."
my tattoo buddy, Josh Fields. If you're watching this, let's go get some tattoos.
Do you know where he
again.
is?
Does he have a cell
Is he
phone?
busy?
He was with the Brewers
Right.
AAA team. I don't know.
Michelle Carter wanted to go to bed, but that dog.
Star of the show.
I really wanted to avoid this one, but I almost died. Someone said, Ricardo. I really should avoid it. So Ricardo said, F the dog. And then somebody said, it's not that kind of stream, Ricardo.
He's with the.
So Ricardo's very upset about the dog. For some
Oh,
reason.
that's bad, Clint. I just got it now. That is
I am
bad.
sorry.
Mellow,
It's-
Poor
close your ears.
form.
Close your ears.
Poor
Yeah,
form.
yeah. Look, she's fine. No doggos were harmed during the filming of this live stream. Made is
Josh
eventually
Fields
going
with
back.
the Rangers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, he wanted to go hang out with
Minor
Chris
leagues,
Woodward
yeah.
again. You know, I could see Fields and Woody being, like they're down. They want to party. And by party, I mean play.
Hails of bait.
Yeah, he's with AAA Rangers right now.
No, it's cornhole. It's always going back to cornhole.
Yeah,
I'm
Tyler
telling
White
you.
plays cornhole.
Made is going to be back in the bullpen
he's
at
struggling.
some point this season
6 ERA in AAA.
to help quell the people that are all over, bullpen help. We need to get 58 guys. Yeah, we do, but also Kenta Maeda.
Clint, break it down, right? So how many relievers do they usually put on a postseason roster? 7, maybe 8, depending on the matchup.
Yeah.
So Jansen's a lock. Kenta Maeda going to the bullpen is a lock. Pedro Baez is probably a lock.
Stripling will be on this year's
Stripling will
roster.
be in there as probably a lock. This is presumably everybody staying healthy, so that's 4. Julio Urias right now is a lock, so that's 5. I thought Scott Alexander might come back, but it sounds like he might not be able to be healthy in time for that. So right now we got 5. So that means two spots.
Joe Kelly.
Right? Oh, sorry, Joe Kelly.
Kelly.
Joe Kelly. There's 6. So we're talking 1, maybe 2, right? Which
I feel
is exactly what I'm telling you as far as like relievers that probably are coming in, a righty and a lefty.
Yeah.
Those are your final 2 spots.
Yeah.
Like we're freaking out about this bullpen, but like, and especially September, we got reinforcements coming in less than 30 days. You got a 16-game lead in the division, and you got, a lot of reinforcements.
Sadler's another guy too who's really making a mark.
He's going to have a chance. I don't think.
He's not
He'll
this
put it
year's
on.
Morrow. He doesn't feel like he's going to have time to prove that he's this year's Morrow. However, if Ryan Madsen earned a postseason spot last year, anything could happen.
Anything's possible.
Effing anything could happen.
They made that move though late, the August 31st deadline to get him. You know,
but he had
Axford
a
obviously
9
gets hurt.
ERA.
Axford was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to be him.
Yeah.
But he was on a losing team. It's one of those things where you kind of get
No, I mean he had a
when you
9
come
ERA
in.
as a Dodger in September.
Oh, in September, yeah.
Yet he made.
But he
the
was an
postseason.
experienced guy. You look
Yeah.
at things like stuff when you're talking about a postseason spot on the playoff
I think
roster.
the narrative was that he pitched very well in his career against Atlanta, who we were going to face in the first round.
And he got out of
then-
that bases loaded jam
he
in
did
Game
so
4,
well.
I believe, that they end up winning. So that's a part of it as well. And he did well against that Milwaukee series. It was just, the World Series that he struggled. And that's a tough Boston lineup to pitch against. But that's why I said when you really look at the bullpen, I mean, Joe Kelly's somewhat of a concern, but hopefully he has it going. You're looking at a couple guys, and you're also looking at matchups, right? You're looking at teams you're going to face. You're looking at guys that, like Givens is a guy who's pretty lights out against the Yankees. Now, I don't think the Dodgers should be looking that far ahead to the Fall Classic to say who are we going to be facing in the American League, but you could be looking at some of these National League teams right now. You look like you could be on a collision course with Atlanta, with the Cubs, another team in there. So you kind of look at kind of these matchups and say what relievers do well against those teams and those particular players. Just like the Cubs are looking at Nick Castellanos as a guy that could mash against Kershaw, Ryu, Rich Hill, and those lefties. Just like they're looking at some left-handed relievers or something, or so are the Braves, that they could come in and try to stop the guys like Bellinger and Seager and Muncy on this team. So everyone's trying to match up against each other right now. It's a game of chess right now, and these chess moves are very, very interesting.
So our producer T has some of her finely curated comments. I mean, a lot of these are going to be old right now, but there's a few of these are pretty solid, I would imagine.
How mellow is Mellow right now, by the way?
Very mellow.
So mellow, so cute. The best.
She heard.
She heard you.
Oh, I love her. Okay. So a DN staff writer wrote, are the Dodgers looking for starting pitching? Yeah, starting pitching.
I don't
Yes.
see that.
Yes.
I don't.
No, the answer is
they're
yes.
Looking,
I know for sure it's yes.
I don't feel they need it.
So a lot of people are surprised by that, right? You think just reliever help, but
Yeah.
they think that a starting pitcher could also push some guys to the bullpen to fix the reliever help
could be
problem.
more flexible that way.
So they are looking at a guy like Marcus Stroman, for example. They are looking at a guy like Noah Syndergaard. They are looking at a guy like Matt Boyd in Detroit. These guys are there. I know for a fact they're looking at these guys. Not saying they're going to pull the trigger on them, but if the price is right, that's the kind of addition you add. Thor would be unbelievable if you could add him to this team, and if Rich Hill does get healthy enough or
Right.
something and could come out of the bullpen or something, that's an option. I mean, we've seen it with teams before. Look at what Boston did in Game 5 last year when they pitched Sale and Price in the same game out of the bullpen, and
Right.
Eovaldi's a starter. I mean, that was their best reliever, of all series as well. So they are looking at starters. Obviously, bullpen is the need. They need a wipeout lefty, and they're looking at a good setup guy or a guy that could close the gap to Kenley as well. But no, you're right. Starting pitching is something that they've definitely had discussions about. They're definitely looking at. Carlos Martinez on the Cardinals, who's in the bullpen now, but was a former starter. He's a guy I know they've touched in on and had a conversation about. So it's out there. Whether they get one or not would surprise me. It would just have to be like a good deal that would fall in their lap that they would take and bring a starter back as well.
The feel to me on that is like, if you're getting a starting pitcher right now, it's because you're not making, or you fear you might not make the postseason. You're struggling to try to get in there, but this team already has the dudes that they would use in the postseason, and I'm basing that on the fact that we're likely going to see Rich Hill back on enough of a starter's workload to be able to handle at least 4 or 5 innings in a postseason game. Walker Buehler's there. You have your Cy Young Babe Ruth going to be ready to start Game 1. That's right, I'm saying Game 1.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's your starting rotation in a
playoff
NLDS?
series?
Yeah, in a playoff series right now. NLDS.
Kershaw's my third, and the first two. It's going to be Ryu, Maeda. I've been drinking, I'm sorry.
So Ryu
Walker,
Walker, then Game
Kershaw.
3. Wow.
Yeah.
And then Rich Hill 4 if you don't make any moves.
Yeah.
If you don't make any moves.
Even so, I mean, Rich Hill's been... He hasn't ever done anything to make me feel uncomfortable with him starting in a postseason game.
Big spot.
When they acquired Rich Hill, that move was always for the postseason.
Yeah.
Right.
And so as we've seen it every year with the blister issues, and he constantly goes on the IL. I mean, maybe he could pitch through some of these things. Yeah. And you're not going to force it with the forearm tightness that he has right now, obviously, because that could be a more serious thing if you really pushed him through.
Right.
They would be fine if Rich Hill doesn't pitch until the last 2 weeks of September, as long as he's ready for the postseason. Mm-hmm. And that guy steps up when it comes to the postseason. He is big.
And I think that's part of the big reason
big.
We don't hear that much about him right now, too. I mean, they're not in a rush to get him back by any means. There's no point. How old is he? He's 39? I mean, he's got some years behind him. He's got some mileage on his arm. You need him for the postseason. Get him ready for the postseason. That's all that matters.
Even if he's back, 1 or 2 weeks into September, he has enough time by that point to build up to 75 pitches, and that's all he needs in the playoffs. And then the first round, they're going to go bullpen heavy anyways, because you hope you go get one more guy. Looking at you, Felipe Vasquez, please come here. But
how many times are you going to say that on one podcast?
I'm just saying.
Would you trade
1 week left?
Would you trade right now Ruiz, May/Peters, and I mean, I know some names they're talking, but I'll just say some guy in the 25 to 30 range right now for Vasquez.
You answer that first.
If you're Andrew Friedman, Clint.
My
3 guys for one.
I'm going to stand for, if it's just the 3, and knowing that you have Vasquez for so long, knowing that Kenley has an opt-out, and knowing that Kenley's getting more and more frustrated with Dodgers fans and Dodgers media asking him about what's wrong with this, what's wrong with that, how come you can't get the velo up anymore? You can see it. He doesn't want to answer these questions. It would not be an intelligent move to leave that much money on the table. You're not going to get that much money per season after the last few seasons you've had, but you might get a longer contract as a free agent, but he has an opt-out.
Kenley would be crazy to opt out right now after what's happened.
There's a lot of money on the
He's
table,
been absolutely crazy. What you said with the velo going down, no longer an all-star. He can't. He's had he's had struggles with his one signature pitch.
But he's an ego guy. And that's where
yes, but you also have to realize he turned down more money to go to the Nationals to sign with the Dodgers because he was a team guy, right? Like Justin Turner.
And that's when things were hot. That's when everything was,
this is the wedding.
Was glorious.
Yeah. I don't like. I mean, I talked to him. I still think he loves this city. He loves this town. He loves this fan base. I still think he wants to be there and win a World Series title. Now, maybe if he wins a title and he thinks he can opt out and get more, maybe. And that's the thing that you were hinting at. If Kenley wasn't here, similar to the Cubs when they acquired Chapman in 2016,
right?
I would absolutely, whatever you need to get Vasquez, you get Vasquez. Because in my opinion, he's a better closer than Kenley. But you're talking about 3 really good prospects, including 2 in your top 10 in your system.
Yeah.
For a guy that's just going to be your setup man, maybe.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe he's the 7th inning guy. He's a lefty specialist. If there's more righties in the 8th, and you want Joe Kelly there. If he was the closer, I would do it, and you needed him. But even if he came here, Kenley's not, giving up the closer role to Vasquez.
No.
And even if they started to do that and bring him in the 9th, I think Kenley would get pissed off, and you're going to hurt him. And you're paying Kenley a lot of money to be your closer. Yeah, almost $20 million.
Yeah,
so,
I throw in your number 1. I throw in Ruiz. I give 2 of the top 6 through 15. You guys get almost your pick of just about anybody.
I told you, May or Peters. Would you give up one or the other?
I'd go with Peters. I think May and Lux are the untouchables for me, 100%.
Okay,
but that's mine. What's your deal?
So you would do Ruiz, Peters, and lower level.
One more, like I'd say that maybe if you're giving up Peters,
and we're talking guys that are probably in like single A right now, but there's a lot of potential, maybe even double A Tulsa. But guys that within 5 years could be really good big league players. I think Gavin Lux, by the way, is going to be an all-star second baseman or shortstop, depending on where they probably put him, but probably second base over the next decade. I think there's no doubt of that. I think that's the kind of talent he has.
It feels like in that deal you do need to include a pitcher, so it might be somebody like an Edwin Uceta or something like that. One of those dudes is a little bit loyal. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Tim. If you're still around, I'm sorry, Tim. I'm just saying that. Brooke, what's GM Brooke's
so
trade?
I'm a little bit different than a lot of people.
One of these things is not like
in terms of people are very high on Will Smith, and I am not entirely sold on Will Smith as a major league player. I think in terms of Ruiz versus Will Smith, in terms of career longevity and success, I think he'll have a more successful career. I really think that people give him a hard time because of how young people forget how young he is. Like, he is much younger. He is a child, a giant man child, and so his career hasn't quite developed the way people expect him to be hitting like 300 right now, and it's like he's still a kid. He's still got some time to learn. He's still, Will Smith's a couple years ahead of him.
Yeah, he doesn't have the juice balls yet. Now he's got the juice balls.
Exactly. Now he's ready to play, man.
Now he's got the juice balls.
He's ready to play.
Yeah,
he's got
he
the Major
homered
League
in his
Baseballs.
first game in AAA. So, but let's play this game, right? Because I'm telling you right now, these are conversations being had by front offices around the league.
Look at us. We're the front office.
Who's going to be a better major league player? Will Smith or Keibert Ruiz?
Right.
Those are questions literally being had in front offices all across the country right now for guys that are talking about, maybe they would make the trade. Pittsburgh. That's the question. I've heard from sources from rival executives across the league, they think Will Smith's going to be the better player. I've heard that they think Keibert Ruiz is going to be the better player in 5-6 years. It just depends.
Exactly, 5 or 6 years.
I agreed with you with that Victor Martinez comp or even a Grandal comp, as just far as switch hitting with power, right? Going to probably give you 20 home runs a year. Hits from both sides of the plate. The defense is what's a little bit questionable. The ability to throw out runners is a little bit questionable with Ruiz right now. But like you said, young, raw, he's 20 years old?
Right. He's a kid.
Right. Will Smith is a guy who it surprised me that he already has 2 walk-off home runs in the big leagues, because he's a guy who hits for average, not necessarily for power.
Right.
So, I expect him to maybe be able to hit over 300 or around that line. So the fact that he's been able to hit some walk-off home runs and hit for some power, I think, has been a plus for the Dodgers right now. But that's the question. For me, I would keep both if you can.
Both catchers?
I would keep both.
Okay.
Like, if you're not going to get a Felipe Vasquez, a Brad Hand, or a Kirby Yates, or a Thor, okay,
they're both untouchable for like a Matt Boyd or something.
Don't trade Ruiz. You're not. No. I would not trade Ruiz for Shane Green. I would not trade him for Ken Giles, and or for Diekman if we're going to go there, or some of these Rangers guys they're looking at. I would keep no, I'm not giving him a number 1 prospect for that. And people are like, well, you can't have both. Why not? Like, Russell Martins is gone at the end of the year. Austin Barnes, probably is not going to pan out. They'll figure out somewhere to go with him, whether it's a trade or they figure out the do. So you have Ruiz and Smith. Now, Smith has played some third base in the big leagues. Smith can maybe move around. This team likes the versatility. They like the experiment of Jock Peterson at first. Maybe you try Ruiz at first or something. But my point is, there's a world where they can both play and be on the team. And I don't even think Ruiz is major league ready next year. I think Will Smith is. Yeah. So if you did hang on to both, Ruiz starts in AAA next year. Give him another year of seasoning, and Will Smith is up for the entire year, and then we talk about this again in 2021. But I think there's a world where they both can play and play well.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers are pretty stacked at catcher, like in terms of their minor league depth. I mean, Cartaya, they got a couple guys down
Wong,
there.
but I don't know if Wong's going to be anything. But Wong is now.
I don't
up
think
in,
he'll stick.
He got
long,
moved up. He got promoted to Tulsa with that move, so he's
Right.
up there now too.
I mean, we could see there are so many moves out there. There's so many options out there, and there's a lot. There's a lot that's going to happen over the next 5 days, and most of it's going to happen. It's going to be like NBA free agency. It's going to be lit.
It's going to be quick,
as the kids say. It's going to be like, okay, but and everything's just done, and you're like, that's it.
It's going to be a lot of bullpen arms going to a lot of contenders. Nationals,
and
Red
you should
Sox,
go ahead and sell San Francisco
Astros,
and Felipe.
Dodgers, Braves.
Felipe come home.
Yeah.
All these teams looking for relievers. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts.
If I'm smart enough to remember, that'll be the name of this episode. Felipe come home.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've gone on the trade talk. Of course, we've done so much. We have more show we want to do. You want to stick around, hang out with some of it?
Yeah,
I mean,
Mel, you awake yet? Get back up here.
Yeah, she's like, I'm done. I'm done performing for the people.
Not a show dog.
So we're pretty happy. We're stoked.
What about some more fan questions?
Well, we have
or
some
audience
of those
questions, listeners' questions.
Well, most of them are about the dogs, and then everybody's just digging in.
I don't care. I can ask questions about Melly. Let's
and
answer some
now
questions.
people are going off about all their trades and whatnot, and that's a whole other show. That's tune in for DN postgame for that show.
Post games. Pay attention to the post games.
We had Matt Beatty in our studio in our office here, and it was a good time.
Matt Beatty came.
He came.
I heard you guys were looking for Matt Beatty.
Yeah, Matt and Jessica came here yesterday,
Nice.
and it was fantastic.
Jessica's tweet, by the way, when Beatty hit that, I guess it was a game-winning home run. It wasn't a walk-off, right? It wasn't a walk-off.
The three-run
shot.
Yeah,
it was a game.
It was a game winner.
Yeah, but not the walk-off.
Not the walk-off.
Yeah,
the cheat code.
The cheat code tweet
code.
was like so perfect.
I was like, dude,
so
that's
perfect.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
nailed it.
She is really, really good, and
Matt Beatty, by the way, is like 10 in the 10 to 20 range as far as prospects, right?
Yeah, he's still.
And
right
by the
up
way,
there.
I'm telling you right now, a lot of teams have asked about him as well, and in these trade talks.
No.
And I honestly, like I'm like Ross Stripling stock guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Licensed stockbroker Ross Stripling, financial advice. Ross Stripling, by the way, I ask him for financial advice all the time. He won't give it to me. He's like, legally, I'm not allowed to give it to you. But if you look at what's going on in the world, he helps with little hints. But my point about this, although, as I digress,
don't not buy.
Sell
Uber.
high, buy low,
Mm-hmm.
right? Always the case it is. They might be buying low right now on Tyler White. There's nobody more to sell high on right now than Matt Beatty.
Mm-hmm.
And
The most clutch human in all of history.
my greatest fear is that they're falling in love with Matt Beatty and he becomes somewhat untouchable without knowing really where he has a role in this team.
Yeah, it's a tough
especially
spot.
like day to day.
My
So like
vote
if you
was,
can get value for him now, even if it is a good middle reliever, like I kind of am in the category of go do it.
honestly, I'd rather hold on to him than Jock. I just don't see a role for Jock on this team. At least Matt's a little bit more defensively valuable and kind of fits the role that Dave is more used to.
Plus, he was very nice to me.
He was very nice.
That's what matters, because not a lot of people are nice to me.
We did touch on some of the trade talk. I think we have the beautiful bean footage of trade talk. We're going to play that for a minute. It's that uncomfortable time of season where we're about a week away from the trade deadline. There's rumors, there's whispers. Do you put much thought into any of that? Do you care to dig into that, or is it just, hey, I'm going to show up to the ballpark, play, whatever happens, happens?
I mean, yeah, I definitely hear about it, but like I said earlier, it's just try not to think about it and try not to hear it and just go. I mean, I can only control what I can control.
Right.
They're going to do whatever they want to do and whatever they see fit for the team. So just for me, it's just go out there and prove that I belong, and that I belong here in the big leagues and that I can help the team win.
Trade Jock to any team looking for a first baseman.
So, I mean, you see that's one of the things I love what Jessica was going on about, but not going on about. That's a bad way to say it. But I'm trying to work my way around. I forgot what we talked about yesterday, and we couldn't hear it this time through. But I'm pretty sure she was talking about, that was the section where the players don't have a say in what's going on. The players can't be like, oh, I want to get traded or I don't want to get traded.
Right.
Nobody knows what's going on. This is like from their side. They don't know what's going on, but they're kind of ready for anything. And I mean, it was a cool little insight of having the Beatties
I
here.
think the crazy part was her talking about them having minor league friends in the system or whatever that find out through Twitter that they got traded. And
Other
they were just
systems.
like
Other
systems,
yeah,
not the
Dodgers
Dodger
aren't bad.
system, but
Oh,
where
I
they were
see.
like,
Well, that's everybody.
where they were just like, hey, dude, you got traded, and they're
I've
like, what do you
talked to
mean?
minor league players and they found out that they got traded.
They're like, I got what?
In fact, I hate to admit this, but I was not in the press box when Ross Stripling came out with his neck stiffness last night. I was walking around the stadium visiting friends, and so someone texted me, Ross just came out in the 5th inning, and my first concern was, oh my God, he's on hug watch.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh no, because his name has come up, by the way, for
Right.
years.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
extremely valuable.
He's a huge piece.
He can
Yeah.
he can be a 3rd or 4th starter on the rotation for a team. He can come out of the bullpen. Like a guy with that value and versatility, and he's got a nasty curveball. Like he doesn't get enough credit for it. He's a guy that's very valuable, and a lot of teams ask for when they have these discussions. So as soon as I heard he came out in the 5th inning with like nothing wrong, and he batted for himself right before that,
Right.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, oh no,
Here
like
it goes.
someone get eyes in that dugout to make sure like he's not getting.
Please
hugged.
don't be
So,
hugging.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the kind of thing where, yeah, I mean, these minor leaguers, they find out all the time. In fact, I know for a fact when that Machado trade came down, a lot of guys found out via Twitter.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can see that side. I can see less so knowing that you're going. But yeah, I loved his Freeze talk too. Stepdad.
He really likes David Freese, which we weren't privy to that information, but
I can
apparently
tell
they're
you
very
in that
close.
clubhouse, nobody doesn't like David
That's
Freese.
true, yeah,
David
but-
Freese is awesome.
Yeah, he's talking about, he trails him everywhere. He follows him pretty much around the clubhouse. He eats dinner with him.
Sure, that's a World Series MVP you're
The funny
talking
thing is
about right
he
there.
said
So
he
much
hated
clutch.
him. He
So
hated
much
him
clutch.
because he was
I
absolute
hated him
against
too
the Cardinals.
because I am
we
against the
hated
Cardinals
him.
as well.
When he
But
got
you've
traded
gotta
to the team,
respect
or when he
him.
came on the team, we were like, "What do we do now? What are we supposed to think about him now?" And then he came on the team and took over his stepdad role, and
now we're
he's, I love him. The guy's killing it,
And he's totally happy in his stepdad role. I saw him last night in the elevator rolling up together, and he was like, hey, any opportunity I get, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking with Angels players and personnel,
Yeah.
guys he knew very well. He was talking about how much he missed and respected and loved Tyler Skaggs. So I mean, this is just a great guy, chill guy, so clutch.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, maybe that's why it's rubbing off on Matt Beatty, that clutch gene that's coming up. Maybe David Freese gets some credit for that somehow.
yeah, it's on him somehow.
I love though. Yeah, his real best friend Kyle Garlick. They're like the bestest buddies. That's a water.
Beatty and
This is
Garlic
mine.
are best friends?
Yeah, that's what he was telling us. He's like,
I
in the
believe
minor
that.
leagues they call us beans and potatoes.
Beans and potatoes because the shape of their bald
That's what it
heads.
was. Beans and potatoes.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Right.
I like that too.
Jessica gave us the insider scoop on that. They also gave us both a lot of fun with the nicknames that have gone around on Twitter and everything else. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
I think getting a Twitter nickname is the highest honor. I mean, you obviously got your Hitman nickname from the team. Does that come from the hair? What does that come from? Because
The look.
I'm not exactly sure. Brownie, our assistant hitting coach, just kind of came up with it one day, I think, and then Belly, JT, everybody ate it up, and
They just ran
it's
with
just
it.
kind of, it's just kind of been the nickname ever since.
So that's gonna be the next one. Hitman T-shirt.
Hitman t-shirt. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of those awesome Twitter names that have come out from? Because there's some pretty
Yeah.
good ones.
We had a few of the. They call themselves the witches on Twitter. They're fantastic. But Bat and Meaty.
I
is
like
amazing.
that one.
That's
I've
a plus
seen that one.
Bat
I like
meaty's
that
good.
one.
And
Yeah.
it's also great because you have the emojis, you have the bat, like an actual
Yeah.
bat, and then
Steak.
meat.
Yeah.
Just a hock of meat.
Yeah.
It's a great word.
Bat meat.
Hock. Our AJ Gonzalez, AJ on the guitar, came up with this one that Sujo later stole, so it's good stuff. We had Beatty Beatty Bomb Bomb, which is that's plus stuff,
good.
especially here in
I was a big fan of
SoCal.
that
I
one.
told our DJ he needs to add that in a little bit. I think
Yeah.
the fans would love it.
There you
Yeah.
go. I think they would go nuts over
Yeah.
that.
And Gone Beatty Gone. That was one of the more recent ones that Sue came up with, and I was like, that's good. That's good.
That's quality.
What about anything before? What are some nicknames that might have followed you in the minors? And I'm sure you've been around a lot of them. I'm sure you've called them much worse things. But what are the best ones in your opinion? What do you like?
I think, was it in college? guys started calling me Bader's Taters. Darth Bader.
Oh, okay.
What else? Kyle Garlic is beans and I'm potato. That's kind of, we're really good friends.
But that's
So
more
we're-
about your like the baldness.
yeah,
Not so much of
he
like
looks
play
like
on the
his
field.
head looks like a garbanzo bean, and then my head looks like a potato.
And we're back, and something very important happened there in Camp 3.
When you're a star, the lights become just too bright. When you're a star, you got to put shades on.
Hey, podcast side me. Make sure we cut that part because it doesn't make any sense, audio only. But yeah,
I think you should leave that in. That's actually pretty good.
The dog is wearing sunglasses, and that's cool. And that's really cool. But we went into a lot of awesome stuff with the Beatties. Obviously, we're running pretty long. We don't need to get into all of it. You guys can actually go find that. The podcast is out there. Everywhere podcasts are available for free. He had some great stuff about superstitions, like their superstition and some of the things that he's done to win. That, let's say, Jessica wasn't
about
too.
Beatty?
Yeah.
You ever shave his mustache off in the middle of a game?
That's becoming a trend, isn't that?
trendy
Yeah. It's
superstition.
weird.
Yeah,
I love that
It
one.
is
It's a weird one.
But yeah, check out. We have the video up on YouTube.com/Dodgers Nation TV. Of course, some of you guys are already over there on YouTube, but go and subscribe. Come on, guys. We're trying to.
You
we're
can
trying
hear
to
about
give you a bunch of awesome
his
content.
underwear.
There are things about his undies.
An underwear superstition.
Calvin Klein?
Yes.
A lot of guys wear Calvin Klein in that locker.
Yes.
Oh.
Plus,
The more you know.
Over the weekend or sometime soon, we're going to be debuting. We played a version of the Newlywed Game with the Beatties, and it was.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was pretty great. I mean, obviously, Matt is a pretty stoic dude. He doesn't like to get too high, too low. I mean, the bat flip seemed pretty out of character for him, the bat drop, but
you hit a 3-run game-winning home run. You flip that
Oh,
bat into
yeah.
this load section.
just wing it. I'd moonwalk home, and I can't even do that. But really
figure
cool
it out.
stuff. Check it out. And we're going to be also releasing it in clips so people can find good sections of. I mean, the whole thing is fantastic, but really, really just the sweetest people. And Brooke and I are hoping, knock on plywood, that we are going to get Jessica on our
Someone
softball
wrote
team.
that Puig actually
true.
drew a fake mustache on himself in the middle of a game. That's
Just
such a Puig thing to do, and it's
so he
amazing.
can erase it.
Yeah.
Logan
Reds
Jones,
are- yeah.
yes, Matt Beatty is a friend of the show now. Although
He
we're
got a shirt.
We're out of friend of the show shirts right now, so we got to
He got
go.
a bunch of shirts.
we
You
gotta
need
wait,
some
but-
Beatty nickname shirts. Is it true his nickname is the Hitman? I've never heard in the locker room, but if his nickname is the Hitman, that is one of the
Yeah.
best nicknames in baseball.
Apparently, he said it just got passed on him. He's like, I don't know.
That
I,
is-
s-
that
I
was
said,
awesome.
I said, I think it's
You need
because
some,
you're
like-
clutch and you're bald. And he was
Well,
like,
there's like the
oh.
Hitman movie, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you
He's
need
bald.
Beatty's face
Yeah.
with the glasses and
Well,
all
that-
that.
that's-
I think he's like a barcode.
That's
on
the
the
clip
bottom.
that
It
just
says-
so
played
sick.
that we
It'd be so
totally
sick.
watched and heard. We couldn't hear it on the side. Sorry, guys. But yeah, the Hitman was actually Brent Brown who came up with that one. So Brownie dropped that one. But yeah, some of the greats. Bader's Taters was pretty
Bader's
solid.
Taters.
That's a throwback for him.
That's his college
Bat
ball.
Meaty is
Bat
of course
Meaty.
one of the guys.
That's a
one of
Twitter
the-
one?
I think Amanda came up with that one. Amanda Smith.
One of the witches came up with it. I don't
Yeah.
remember which one, but they did a great
Huh?
job.
Sorry. it
I like
was
the Gone.
Thundercat?
Thundercat did?
Thunder-
Brian?
I like the
Thundercat.
Gone Beatty Gone. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not a nickname, but
Yeah.
the
Beatty Gone,
Sujo props to Sujo, Dodgers Twitter.
Yeah.
Baby Baby Bomb Bomb.
Yeah,
Gone
we had
Beatty Gone was a good one.
Beatty Beatty Bomb Bomb was actually
Beatty Beatty Bomb Bomb's good.
from our AJ Gonzalez, and Sue stole it. I'm bringing it up 2 days in a row. I'm just saying Darth Bader. Come on, how
Darth
good
Vader's
is that?
good too. I like that.
Logan Jones says I have a nervous laugh when players come on the show. Do I do that?
I don't know. Does he have a nervous laugh? You're here.
It's his normal laugh.
That's just how I sound. I just
Are
sound
you just
stupid.
Why are you nervous? Let us know. In
Matt
the
Beatty
comments.
did make me a little bit nervous because he wasn't talking.
We have Brokeback Beatty. Kowski says everybody needs to put on sunglasses. Sorry, I already gave Mellow.
She's got
my-
the only pair, and she
I gave
still
Mellow
has them
my
on.
in studio sunnies.
I'm proud of her.
Finally, it's much fun. Again, go check that out. DodgersNation.com, or sorry, YouTube.com/DodgersNationTV. Finally, Mike, that's where I saw you already this week. You get the excitement of seeing each other twice this week, but we were at the stadium for the renovation announcements. And we do have some beautiful bean footage on that. We're going to play it in a second, unless she already pushed the button, which she did not, which is cool.
Perfect.
I love it. I love the stadium stuff. It makes so much sense for this empty void. You know what? Let's play the clip first, and then we're going to
Play it.
do
I
the
love.
There's nothing like Dodger Stadium. There's nothing like the fans here. There's nothing like getting to play a baseball game here.
The Dodgers announced a $100 million facelift plan for the 57-year-old stadium that's worthy of Hollywood. Groundbreaking of the new center field plaza won't take place until after the season, after the Dodgers win the World Series. But they already have all of us at Dodgers Nation excited for what's to come.
For the first time, you're going to be able to walk around the stadium, inside the stadium, and enter the ballpark from any of our 9 entrances and get to your seat.
Most importantly to me, it was announced that elevators and escalators will be added to the surroundings of the ballpark, so no longer you're going to be dying by the time you get from your car to your seat. Along with the life-saving elevators and escalators, beyond the center field wall, a backdrop and socializing area worthy of the best city in the world will be added.
And we're going to have a lot of new food offerings, a beer garden for craft beers. We're going to have history displays woven all throughout. We're going to have a kids' field right behind this outfield wall. We're going to have a midway of games and interactive exhibits, both high-tech and low-tech, social media, etc. 2 separate sports bars with views into the bullpens.
You won't just be walking on awkward asphalt around the back of the park anymore. There's going to be a full-on plaza filled with new food and drink, including that beer garden, and a much more exciting experience in an area that used to be wasted space on smokers and ugly chain-link fence. We're back? Sorry, there was a random emoji that was put in between a URL. But yeah, All-Star Game coming to Dodger Stadium 2020. Pretty cool logo. I think the logo checks off some of the boxes. It's not campy. It's not lame like the guitar one they did for Cleveland this year.
That was. I would have liked to see something more LA-ish. Not a guitar, obviously. I don't know.
I mean, if it said like All-Star Game, like the Hollywood sign, maybe.
Like a homeless guy on it or something?
Or like the star itself could have had that little line in the middle.
Something like that.
Or like maybe put the city like scape in the background. I don't know. Something.
But like I mentioned in that particular clip, like there's a lot of really, really cool things coming. Most importantly, most paramount, the best thing that could ever happen in the stadium is the elevators on the side.
Melly wants to know where the dog park in Centerfield Plaza is going to be.
Is that your biggest beef with this whole upgrade?
That's one of my biggest beefs. That and the fact that you're putting a kids ballpark
in the middle,
literally right behind center field, right below the batter's eye, with a net protecting them. Hey, have you guys ever sat in the pavilion section?
Oh yeah,
you ever
that's
sat in
my
the bleachers?
spot, man. That's my spot. That's my family out there. They're wild.
So you got some wild people out there.
Yeah,
and you got just a net protecting these little kids running around playing, and you're telling me no one's going to throw stuff or do anything to
no
these
beer.
kids?
No beer will be poured down those nets. I promise.
I hope not, but like I have my skepticism. And also, what if the kids are wearing like Giants jerseys or something? Here's the other thing though. I've been to Petco. Petco's one of my favorite stadiums.
Not a sponsor.
Not
Petco.
a sponsor, but Petco Park in San Diego is one of my favorite stadiums across the league. But one of my biggest qualms with Petco and other stadiums compared to... So, like, what I don't want Dodger Stadium to become is this whole, like, oh, we're family, we're Disney, there's all these distractions. Because Dodger Stadium has always felt like a cockfight to me, right? Mm-hmm. Like, everyone is just centralized on the action, and they're cheering, and they got money, and they're screaming, and they're yelling, everyone's all into it, right? And, like, I've gone to these other stadiums. I mean, Camden Yards is a beautiful stadium, but they have the whole, like... They have so many distractions and the kids and the family centers that, like, not everybody is focused on the game. So my fear is, like, and this is what happens at Petco when you have that little league field out behind center field.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They have like wine and beer tastings out there and live music and stuff. And I'm like, the game is in here.
Yeah.
Like, this is the action. And especially with I understand, Padres, you guys have not been in contention in 2 decades.
You need something to distract them.
But like
but
the
they're gonna
Dodgers
win a World Series before the
right?
Dodgers.
The Dodgers are. You need to be focused and paying attention. And like, if the center field wall is blocking you and kids are going to be out in that center field playing and stuff, like, I don't know. I'm more about like more focus and attention on the game,
more
and less things that
baseball-centric.
distract you from the game. And I do like what Stan Kasten said, and you kind of brought up the elevators. The fact that Dodger Stadium has never been a stadium that you could walk around without having to navigate it very difficultly the entire stadium from home plate to home plate.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, with how they're going to do this, you'll be able to walk home plate to home plate, which is what I think fans like and enjoy.
Right.
I obviously haven't been in that situation in many years, but it's nice, I guess, to catch a few innings, take a lap, check everything out,
Yeah.
come back to your seat,
And-
take
and
a lap. So that
plus
would be nice to be able to do.
these days, everybody's like, "Oh, you're at the game too" on Twitter or whatever. They're gonna
Yeah,
go
you
run
go
into
do
each
meetups
other. They
and
want to
stuff,
go.
yeah.
You were talking about missing, Ross getting pulled from the game because you're wandering around, meeting up with friends and all that. They're trying to make it a bit more of a social experiment or experience. I know this guy's gonna love the beer garden. You're gonna like. What I love about that idea is like I would go there just to sit there in that area because I'm not going to go pay for a ticket and then go hang out in the beer garden or hang out over there. No, I'd rather treat it like a bar.
Okay, so
I think the best thing about it, not to cut you off,
Yeah, no,
but
you're good.
the best thing about it is the more standing room only seats that will be added. When I went to Wrigley for both 2016 and 2017 NLCS series, and I brought my dad in 2017 because he had never been there and he wanted to be a part of that magical Dodgers run in 17. You could buy a standing only seat at Wrigley for like $20-$30. It was really surprising for an NLCS game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a great seat, but you're just standing kind of up
Yeah.
there watching,
Right.
drinking a beer. And
It's
I
about
thought
the
that was,
experience,
I
too.
thought it was really cool, just
Yeah.
the get in price, right? Not like a nice fancy seat or whatever. There's going to be so many of people who are now going to be able to catch games, even if they got to stand or stand up
Yeah.
at like a bar or whatever, or stand in the beer garden, like you said, that will now be able to experience the whole stadium without necessarily having an assigned seat.
Right, and that's the thing too is like I go to a lot of games by myself. Like if I'm in the area and I have a night off or something like that, not in a bad way. It's just the way that you do it now is if you walk around to explore, there's only certain places that you can hang out or stand. Like right now, I'll go stand behind home plate. Like if I buy a $7 ticket in the nosebleeds, I'm not sitting in those seats. I'm gonna go walk around and do
Scandal.
stuff.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about the other thing too is I don't know if you know this, Michael, but you can't if you have a ticket to top deck or whatever, you can't get into the field from the left field reserve or left field pavilion.
I've heard that. Oh, you're talking about the entrance?
Yeah,
Now
so
they
you
used
can't
to
get
be
into
able, like,
those.
let's say you had a top deck seat. You used to be able to not even go down to the field to get like a bowl.
right.
I don't know if that's. Can
no,
you still
so
do
you
that?
you're free to move around the stadium now, but you can't come in those entrances. So
Yeah.
if you park on the
I have a
in the left
feeling
field
that's not gonna
side,
change,
you're going to
though.
be like, okay, well, I still have to walk all the
Yeah,
way
I
up.
have a
So
feeling
I'm
that's not
hoping
gonna change,
That's
though.
the thing is, I'm hoping they'll at least change some part of that because some of it's kind of ridiculous to
Well,
where
you-
like
you
I have a
have
left
9
field pavilion seat. Can't I just come in at top deck if I
You
parked up
have
here?
9 entrances, and so now you're going to have the 10 with the new front door that they're talking about. But I still believe they're probably going to do what you're saying, but they're
Right.
going to have to go into kind of your assigned gate. I got my parents tickets to the Padres series a couple of weeks ago, and we went to this like party in center field at the old 76 station, and then they had to go in the loge section. They weren't allowed to go in just straight through
Right.
there down in the right field
Right.
plaza, which was field, which kind of was a bummer. They had to walk a little farther, but it is what it is. I don't think that'll change. One thing that's interesting, Clint, I don't know if you saw this, but I spoke to Stan Kasten after the press conference, and I'm still not clear because I can't really see it in this rendering video that you showed the audience
Yeah.
out there. But he was saying that they're going to build sports bars
Yeah.
behind the bullpen, so that instead of like this bullpen wall that you see now, where right now actually you could sit in these like little barstool seats
Yeah.
atop the bullpen and
Which
watch
are really
watch
cool.
relievers warming up. But now I'm assuming it's going to be clear, and you'll be able to be like standing level, seeing eye to eye, right standing behind these relievers as they warm up, and still being able to catch a glimpse of the field where before you were standing above them. That's going to be kind of cool and interesting, and I'm curious to see what that's going to look like. That's my understanding of what it's going to look like, because the actual bridge that's going to connect, I guess, the field section to the bleachers is now going to be where I guess those seats, those barstool seats are in the bullpen.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, right? 2 sports
Yeah.
bars that you can like looking down the bullpen and see like,
Yeah.
the field from there. Is
It
gonna be
does.
pretty
It does seem like
interesting.
they're trying to make more hangout spots for people.
Yeah.
like
That's kinda
spots where
sexy.
you
That's
don't
kind of
have
a
to just
sexy
sit in your
spot,
seat.
yeah.
You can go. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
as-
to
yeah.
me. That's I'm all for
and
that.
if they do offer like whatever 50 or I guess less than that, but early or not early entry. Damn, I can't think of the words right now. I've been drinking,
Pre-sale?
but just tickets to enter the stadium. You don't have an assigned seat. You could just come and hang out here at the bar,
okay.
here at
Yeah.
the beer garden, on the
General
kids
admission.
section, the grass area. I personally don't think that's going to happen.
You're gonna go hang out
Stan
over
did
there?
point out. Sandcastle did point out that not everything what you see in this video is going to happen. If you want the full video, again, go to youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. We have a couple of videos, including that one right there, if you want to watch it again, including a beautiful intro and outro by myself. But
I haven't heard that. I want to hear that.
it's youtube.com/DodgersNation. If you want to subscribe. But yeah, there's just the way, and even the way the renderings are, it's not going to come out like that. But what's most important for me, everything about
The home
Dodger
run
Stadium
seats?
is like, well, the home run seats are cool. I really do like that. I think it does kind of take away.
What is the
from
over-under? I'm putting it at opening day with a fan interference
field, yeah.
on a
yeah.
home
Reaching
run,
over.
reaching
I mean, it
over.
happens at so
if you're
many
gonna put
other
those
fields.
seats there, yeah, but
That's not Dodger Stadium.
yeah,
I get
but
it.
like that's not. I mean, usually you can't literally just reach over and like grab Cody Bellinger's glove or something, which is what those renderings were showing.
Right.
Like, you're
I
literally
mean-
like right behind, a little bit elevated, but right behind there. I mean, they
Anaheim's
have those nice
kinda
seats
like that.
at the wall. No, where? Because they have the rocks and the bullpens in Anaheim.
Well,
There's
I mean,
really not
like,
that many.
they have the high awkward fence or whatever, but still, fans are somehow in some way in play. I mean,
Maybe Houston's left field wall a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But that's still a high wall. You can't reach up there. They
Yeah,
said the
yeah.
dimensions of the wall aren't going to
They're
change
not
at all.
gonna
So
change.
literally, you'd be able to reach down and interfere with a ball and
Houston's
play.
right field wall.
And I think
That came up big during the ALCS last year.
And I don't like that. I mean, literally, what is the over/under that we're going to have an interference debate
Oh, they're
going
gonna
on right
happen,
away? It's
and-
going to happen like game one, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And then at some point they're going to put a net up there, and everybody's going to be up in arms about them putting a net over.
It's funny
the
because
pavilions or
because
something like
I
that.
heard some quotes saying that fans at Dodger Stadium believe that putting a net everywhere will make them feel like they're more in a cage.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys have ever been to.
they're already in a cage right now because that dumbass back part of this one ugliest, as I mentioned in the video, it's the ugliest part of the stadium. It's like, oh, cool, nice stadium, beautiful view, all that, and all of a sudden there's this cage where they just throw the smokers and
Where's
a couple
that
of,
at? I don't know.
Behind pavilion. It was where the pores go.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
Mikey.
no.
It's out. It's out.
No. I have
Yeah.
walked out there. I didn't know that was the smoking area. We're kind of where that not a beer garden, but it's a beer area over there now.
Right. Yeah.
you
Where it's
can
just
get
like a parking lot.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
there's
they,
beer.
yeah.
they built
Yeah.
up those two.
They
It
have,
used
like,
to
little,
be
like,
Tommy's Trattoria and the
picnic
other
tables.
one.
You
Yeah.
can sit
Yeah,
at.
they have those areas, and then the what's it called? Walk, the stairs. That's what they're called. Again, I'm an elevator guy.
Well, my father
stairs
told
walk-
me like, oh, I can't walk around Dodger Stadium. I was like, technically you can,
Yeah.
but you got to walk down the stairs
Right.
and into that
Well, that
area
was
you're
one of
talking
the
about, that
big-
smoking kind of lawn area.
Right.
That's the other thing that I liked about this. I like when you like find a use for unused space, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of unused space at Dodger Stadium
big
right
time.
now, and that's what they're doing with this renovation. Is they're taking this unused
Yeah.
space behind there and actually like turning it into something which is going to be very cool and very interactive. So I'm for that part of it, absolutely.
Yeah, again, it's about the beautification. I care less about the entertainment. People who know me know I don't like kids, so I don't care about where they're trying to have fun. Just don't.
Yeah, you don't care about kids' fun.
Yeah,
That's
no.
not a thing, yeah.
Just throw them in that cage over there in center. And I don't think that the little grass area is going to happen like that. I don't think they can do that. I think they're still going to need a spot to store things.
Store children.
To store
I mean,
things,
back in my day, back in the good old days when Kaz Ashi'i took a line drive off the head, they had to bring in the ambulance to the field.
Good old Kaz.
Through the center field gate. They
Well,
do a lot
Kasten
through
told
that
me that you can
gate.
that the plan. So there were some renderings that were released that showed that you wouldn't have that access anymore, right? It was
Yeah.
going to be like all concrete and you could stand on it. I actually kind of like that because that'd be a cool view to stand
Mm-hmm.
right behind center field, literally top of the wall and look straight down. But that's not the case anymore. And it's just going to be that kids' play field. And so according to Stan, you'll still be able to open up center field and go out and help them. And when they do concerts, be able to bring in everything from center field. So that will still open up and be an entrance exit for people who also want to go give Cody Bellinger a hug or a kiss. They'll be able to exit through that center field.
Too soon.
Plaza
man. Poor
as well.
Cody. Poor Cody. Go ahead. I know.
You're talking about the dog one, right?
Oh,
that's
give
what
me
I was
what you
talking
got.
about.
Yeah, we're gonna
No.
hit the last few questions
Gary had
here.
thrown up that the dog and the seat counter is coming up on 2 hours. How impressive is that?
I know.
Totally
we-
impressive.
Mellow, babe. Mellow.
Mellow.
That's
Yeah,
why
we
she's her
we
name.
haven't gone this hard on a stream in a long time, and this is our the pre-trade deadline spectacular. But we made sure to get to all the other stuff we had lined up.
I
'cause
want
the
trade
last-
deadline questions from people watching.
Oh, these
You have the
two-
comments, so you tell me.
she's been ready to go home for the last hour and a half, and we,
Well, there's a dog here, so not really. She's
yeah,
ready
she
to
wants
stay.
that or pet the dog. Plus, I mean, Mikey brought cookies, and we haven't even opened them yet.
Oh, yeah, I brought cookies too for
bring
everybody. You
cookies.
guys can have
We're
them
gonna
too.
we're gonna throw those right here in center
So we can
field.
show
There's your
them.
beer garden, cookie garden. We'll get to the last few points here. Timmer Speck over on Twitch, saying kids grow up playing in a literal metal cage. I mean, yeah, that's how you play baseball. I don't want to pay that much though to play in a metal cage, but I do get it. Schmo wants us to bring back the gas station. I thought you were going to go with Logan.
The gas station's there.
But
You're talking
like
about
as
the
an actual
76
gas
station?
station.
They can actually fill up?
Yeah.
I mean, the pumps are there. I don't think there's anything in them, but that would be such a nightmare. Could you imagine the lines for people filling up at those
like
gas
Costco over there? I thought you were really gonna. And then the gas station over there still selling like peanuts for $4,000 or whatever.
There's actually like a little like place you can enter over there now. I don't know if there's anything in it. Probably just a storage facility, but there's a little like mini mart over there now that you can enter into.
So we got some from Logan Jones. He asked, "FRG, you were once a kid?" Unfortunately, I apologize.
He was once a kid.
And then, what do you think about this one, Mike? Logan also asked Tony Watson and Will Smith for DJ Peters. It's never going to happen.
They would never do
2
that.
for 1.
But yeah, I would do that.
I would. I would gladly.
But I don't think they need 2 lefties. So
Kevin
give me
Durant.
Will Smith for DJ Peters straight
Kevin
up.
Durant in the stream. Where's Adrian Gonzalez? We have Kevin Durant, but we don't have Aegon this week. But
Poor Aegon is like trying out for everybody still going there. I actually saw that video. He's like barbecuing on 4th of July for Mario Lopez and all those.
I saw the one recently where he was chugging a beer and falling backwards into his pool or whatever, or unfalling out of his pool because it was magic of being in reverse.
I have a question for you about the nets too, right? So like we're talking about these nets, and it hasn't been formally announced, but they're extending the nets probably within the next 30 days.
I thought you meant the Brooklyn Nets. I was very confused.
No. The nets at Dodger Stadium will be extended to the left field and right field foul poles by next month. But this all stemmed from that line drive Cody Bellinger hit that girl, that young girl, that young fan. If Matt Beatty had hit that ball, is this still a conversation that is being had? Are the nets still being extended at this point? That's my question.
I think eventually, regardless, it would have happened.
Eventually,
maybe not as fast.
I mean, the White Sox already did it, so
most of the ones that have happened or have already been talked about have been spurred on by an event like that happening. So I think eventually it would have happened. I think all around baseball, eventually it's going to happen. The White Sox are the one that's taking it to the next level, right? Where it's like high and all the way down. Like it is like a cage almost.
Yeah.
So I was looking at this last night because I was over at Stadium Club, as I was saying, when Stripling came out. The line that's connecting the net, that's covering and protecting like the dugouts right now, it already goes to the foul pole. There's just no net. So now you're just putting the net that hangs down, right? So that's not necessarily that big of a deal. I'm assuming that's what they're going to do.
Robo net, like so people can still get up there, like because now that's
like
going to take
cameras at NFL games. You know, that's like the 4
just
ropes
swings with
and
it,
it just moves everywhere.
The final one, we're going to get, I'm going to go Brammer 25. Brooke, I want to know your thoughts on the Sandy Koufax statue.
He specifically said?
No, I want to know. I want you to answer it.
Like on the specific Sandy Koufax statue?
Is that what? Man, you're really killing this.
Yeah, I know. Really crushing it. Listen, Sandy Koufax is a man who's deserving of a lot of respect. Okay?
Yeah.
Are you going to say he doesn't deserve a statue?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
What?
not. No. I'm absolutely not saying
We're
that.
cutting it where it says that.
Sandy-
Absolutely not. He does not.
If you think of players in Dodgers
that
history,
he said he doesn't deserve.
if you think of players in Dodgers history, Jackie makes the most sense to have a statue out there, of course.
Which
I think
he has.
Vin absolutely needs to have a statue out there at some point.
At some point.
Vin just makes sense. There's no rush on it by any means. But, I mean, you got to think Sandy's got to have a statue at some point out there. Man.
So my problem is,
sense.
so there's a couple of different arguments here, right? So Jackie is the obvious choice because he's Jackie Robinson, but he now has 10 statues across the country.
He's got a lot.
There's
10.
already a Jackie statue, guys. They're just moving it.
9 other statues. Yeah, they're moving it.
There's
a lot of them.
But he was saying Jackie was the obvious choice to get the first statue. And
Right.
obviously, but what I'm saying is like, you could argue like, okay, this guy already has 9. Like, how many statues does this guy need erected across the country?
Right.
Koufax and Drysdale would be like 1A, 1B for me. Vin definitely deserves one, and he will get one at some point. The problem is, like, if you go see Chick Hearn's statue at the Star Plaza at Staples Center, it's just kind of weird, right? He's like in a folding chair.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a little strange.
Broadcaster statues are kind of odd. Like, we're gonna have a statue
you don't know what to do with them.
headphones on and a microphone.
That's going to be because he also Brammer 25 says he wants a Clinton Brooks statue.
There you go. Yeah, that's good. That'll play up.
This
really
is going to
well.
be this.
Like, it'll be that picture right now. Like, you guys right now.
The thing
that'll
with
be
Chick,
it.
though, is that the way it's set up so you can take pictures with it and like sit pretty much at his
that
desk
part
with
is
him.
that
So
part
that's
is
the
cool.
part of
But
it.
like, what's
Yeah.
Vin's statue going to be? That's my question.
That is true.
It's kind of weird.
It's
throwing
like
up the ball.
him throwing up the ball.
So, like, if you saw the story I posted on Tuesday, I screenshotted that rendering because it looked like Koufax. Are they good, by the way, the cookies? It looked like the
Would you like a cookie, Brooke?
cookie.
Brooke,
like a
try
brookie?
those.
Waiting for a cookie. Thank you so
It's
much.
a brookie.
It looked like a brookie cookie.
Oh.
It looked like,
Would you like a cookie?
that Koufax statue is. We're already getting again. It's a rendering, so it can always change. Caston said it would change, but it looks like he's pitching, like mid wind up.
Mid wind-up, yeah.
And that's what the statue is going to be. Because there's some, like there's the famous one where he's holding the 4 balls when he threw the 4th no hitter. When he throws the perfect game and throws his arms up when they win the World Series. There's a lot of moments you could kind of pick. This is the argument, like Kobe's statue's coming, right? And we're all thinking about what pose it's going to be. So I was looking at what pose they're going to pick for Koufax. There actually is one statue of Koufax that exists out there. The guy that designed the statue and made the statue shot me an email yesterday and sent me some photos of it. So it's another one where he's mid wind up. So I would imagine that's what this statue is going to be. At least that's what the rendering looks like. But who are some guys that you think in Dodgers history that deserve statues outside of Koufax?
I like
Drysdale?
Steven says Drysdale, yeah.
Gibson statue, interesting.
Logan says Oral. I really do like the Bulldog.
I don't think Oral should get a statue. No offense to Oral. I mean, he's
Rick
to too many
Krajewski's
different
going to come
teams.
get you. Yeah. Wasn't by his choice.
Gibson mid trot doing this would be a pretty epic statue.
Rod Baraja statue. Yes.
Jose Lima statue, rest in peace.
Yeah. Lima time.
Yep.
It just says Lima time.
I think there
Or you
will
push a
eventually
button.
be a Kershaw no-hitter. The arms up.
That should be a statue
That
too.
will
Yeah,
be
Kershaw
one.
would
Yeah.
get a statue.
He will get one for sure. It's just going to be a while.
Tommy will probably eventually get one, right? But what would Tommy be? Remember
Him
in
cussing
the
somebody
All-Star
out.
game when the bat flew at him in third base and he fell over? That'd be
I
a
don't
great
think she
statue.
does,
Or how about
but,
him?
yeah.
How about him fighting the Philly Fanatic? I would be down for a statue
down for either
of
one of
him
those.
fighting the Philly Fanatic.
Just that roll when he got hit by the bat.
Yeah.
We have one, I think, one ball game outlasting this show that we're ending right now. But Smasher says Indians versus Royals.
Butt smasher.
Bottom 12 tied 3-3. That's a game. And this has been a show. We're going to hit that clap.
So wait, Brooke, if Indians win that game, are they now 1.5 back of the Twins? Is that wow?
That's an impressive.
That's
That's
impressive.
that's
you
a
don't
close-
sell
Well, I
in
mean,
that
yeah,
situation now.
The
No, there's
AL,
no way.
the AL Central is basically trash. But
I hate to say this, and then we're going to kind of, I don't know where we're going with this, but I don't, as much as fans want that big flashy name
it's not going to
to
happen.
be on the Dodgers next week, I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think it's a byproduct in defense of Andrew Friedman of him not going for it, because I know for a fact he's made the calls, he's done the due diligence, the homework. I think it's these teams suddenly in the last month
Competing.
are competing.
Yeah.
The one is Vasquez, and it just doesn't sound like the Pirates unless you're willing to give up a lot for a setup guy.
Yeah.
Is going to happen.
While-
Then it is what other pieces, let's call, if those guys are the flashy names, the A group.
It's going to be Green and Diekman. That's
The-
what I'm.
the
that's
second
what-
tier group.
I'm saying Green and Diekman.
Green and Diekman, I think, would be great. Now, the thing that scares me about Green is if you look outside the ERA numbers, the other analytics on Green haven't been that great. I do know, and you've seen this in the past, and it's kind of random, but when guys switch leagues, hitters can sometimes struggle, new pitchers, new fields, new stadiums, and then pitchers can sometimes struggle as well in the same situation. Rich Hill didn't, thank God, when he came over, but some guys do, and it takes them a while. And I fear with the guys that we're talking about, a lot of them are American League names. I would hope that switching divisions and switching leagues, and now all of a sudden facing guys you've never faced before, only in interleague play, and I don't think the scouting is that deep when you're in interleague play.
Plus, so many of those dudes are AL Central. They're not facing great competition within the division. So that shiny 1 ERA for Shane Green doesn't really weigh as much potentially.
Exactly. The other thing that worries me is, so look at a guy like Ken Giles, right? Having an amazing year. No disrespect to Ken Giles, but Ken Giles was like, well, no, he was terrible with the Astros. The Dodgers lit him up
and he
in the
throws
World
a
Series,
mean
right?
hook to himself.
Like
It's
they would rather
fantastic.
have Charlie Morton close out games in the World Series in 2017 than Ken Giles.
Right.
And he's having a great year with the Toronto Blue Jays this year, but is it an anomaly? And the reason why I bring that up is old friend Daniel Hudson, former Dodger, is also having an amazing lights-out year with the Toronto Blue Jays. In fact, that teams are calling the Blue Jays asking for Daniel Hudson now, a guy the Dodgers let go. So that worries me a little bit as well. Is just how good is really Ken Giles? Are those peripheral numbers because he's playing with the Toronto Blue Jays right now? Is it a different ballpark, bigger outfield? Or is he really figured something out in a new situation, new environment that would make you want to trade for a guy like that? Those are the questions, and those are always the questions. That's why the reliever market is so volatile, and it's tough to give up a top prospect like Hybrid Ruiz or something for guys that are you just don't really know.
Yeah.
I think Vasquez to me would be the safe bet that he could pitch the way he's pitched in Pittsburgh anywhere.
Absolutely. There's a lot that's going to go on between now and our next show. And while the Dodgers might not get a flashy name, we had a flashy name here in the studio. Mike Duarte, thank you for hanging out. Don't forget Pepperoni.
This is the flash
the
name.
star
Mellow
of the show.
Yellow, yeah.
That's Pepperoni. But you will have two shiny names. Brooke and I will be here next week, and we're going to break down all the things that went right or didn't go right with the trade deadline.
I can't wait to be upset about nothing.
So until then, find us on the internet. We are at DodgersNation.com. Subscribe to Lou Heaven on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Player FM, so many more outlets.
Absolutely. Thank you to our guests. Our guests, actually.
High five.
Oh, look at that. Look at that exit. Thank
Look
you.
at that. Mikey does tricks.
We'll put some more tricks up on the social media.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, you can get
Michael,
all the
what's-
doggo tricks.
What's your Twitter handle? At Michael J. Duarte?
At Michael J. Duarte everywhere. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. So yeah,
MySpace.
but mainly Twitter. Yeah.
MySpace, hell yeah.
Google Plus.
He's dropping-
I'll
he's
try
dropping some
I'll
sick
try
beats.
I'll try to get whatever news we got in these next 5 days and then put it out there for everybody to try to follow and hang on to. And I'm obviously sometimes not going to be able to beat the big insiders out there, but hopefully I'll be able to share what conversations are being had, where they're looking, where they're checking in on, guys that they might be interested in, and what possibly the return could be in those situations. So
Perfect. And as fans, that's all we need. That's all we're looking for. So
That guy is
we'll
Brooke
definitely
Me3.
be keeping an eye on you.
On Twitter and Instagram, I'm RealFRG. On Twitter and Instagram, we're Dodgers Nation. On Twitter, we're Official Dodgers Nation. On Instagram.
Make sure you go to DodgersNation.com to check out the latest and breaking news from guys like this guy over here on my left, as well as Mello. She'll be on our breaking news section at some point.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for hanging
thank you
out.
guys.
2 hours,
Appreciate
guys.
you.
2 hours with us tonight. We haven't gone this long since the off season. I guess we took one of those special pills, but we'll see you next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.
peace.